at 5:01, where we're not supposed to be, and make a motion to enter non-public session under 91A3? A and C? A and C.
Poirier seconds it.
Gray votes yes?
Poirier votes yes.
Mason votes yes.
Ricker, yes.
Farnum, yes.
Okay. Dana, if you'd stay with us a little bit, please. Close the public session.
Non-public.
Second.
Gray votes yes.
Poirier, yes. Ricker, yes.
Mason, yes.
Farnum, yes.
Okay.
I was waiting for Boy to go down
I
the
know.
line.
Well,
I never know what
jumped in. I was
Yeah,
like,
wait.
come on, line.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, a little suspense every time we vote.
Right, yeah, who's gonna go next? Who's gonna go next?
Although I think Aaron tends to, from every side, the front and the back too.
He's right in the middle.
Here he is.
You gonna make the announcement?
Sure. In the non-public, we're in public session. The non-public session, the board voted to seal the minutes.
Unanimous.
Well, it was unanimously, which will appear in the minutes also. Okay, so if we're within, if you care to talk with us, and we can let the folks know who were expecting us to still be at Ricker's. When they come in, if they have a question, we can
I only have two things.
Yep,
One of them is we have our new steel container. That was delivered last week.
sweet,
And the other thing is, if everything goes according to game plan, Monday morning we'll be repairing the deck in the trash compactor. And that'll be fixed. Steel is here, so all we gotta do is put it in, weld it in, and hopefully that'll be taken care of for at least a week. And then we gotta check the plunger and maybe take the plunger out. There'll be a little more work that we can do on a Monday and Tuesday to do the floor and stuff, so it may be another week before we have the plunger done, the ram done. That's it. Any questions?
Is the plunger scouring that floor also?
The plunger's wearing on the floor, that's what's wearing the floor out, the plunger and the trash.
Oh, not the, oh, I see.
The plunger is the ram that goes
Yeah,
in and out to push it in.
Right,
Well, you got steel setting on steel, sliding back and forth. I talked to the company about lubricating it, but they said no, because you get anything in there, it's gonna just stick in lubrication, whatever, it's oil or grease or whatever, and it's just gonna wear it out faster. It makes a lot of sense.
silicone won't do it.
Well, the stuff will stick to it, and when it does, you're gonna grind it off like you were using sandpaper, or an emery wheel. So we've been on that deck, it would have been 18 years in November,
Yeah,
so
Gave it a good run.
So the steel
it's
that's
been a
going,
good run.
the steel that's going back on it's a sheet, the same thickness as the original.
1/4-inch steel going back onto it, and everything, so
Yeah,
maybe we can get another 18 months out of it.
I hope so.
or yeah.
I don't want to put it for years. But no, that's the only thing I have.
Good.
The cans here, and the containers here, and the deck hopefully will be done next Monday.
And business is picking up.
It's gotten a little busier than normal. I think this next weekend and Wednesday and the following weekend will be a bit busier than normal also.
That's for those days when it's really miserable and snowy and cold, there's not much going on.
Oh, even with the snow, there's plenty going on.
Not as many people though.
No,
And we're gonna be closed on the 4th, correct?
no,
You're gonna stay open on the
we're
4th?
open on the 4th. The only days we close is Christmas, it falls on the day the dumping schedule to be open.
Dedicated.
Yeah.
That's a crazy.
Unless you want me to close.
It's a holiday, I close it. I close it,
I'd
Glenn.
close it.
You got vacation time and everything else, you might as well take a
Everybody's
holiday.
I've been doing this 29 years, and
I
they
know.
used to it for 29 years. I don't think that,
I don't think one day would kill you, I think you ought to take it off, it's a holiday. Enjoy the town holiday, enjoy your family.
I'll take the day before or the day after off. How's that?
Fine, I'll take it off.
How much trash do we
Yeah,
really
right.
get in the transfer
There you
station
go.
on the 4th of July?
Yeah,
I
especially.
mean, the day
if it's
before,
on a
one day
weekend.
off.
Right, it's on
Yeah.
a Wednesday,
It's a
so.
quiet day.
I-
Glenn likes it when it's quiet down there.
I agree with you.
I just
Glenn,
think we
you should
should
take it.
say he takes it off.
Or just stay
close
open
it
till
down.
noon or something.
Okay, I'll think about this.
Let us know on the 5th.
Do I detect something about snowballs and hell with that statement? Or
Something.
You'll take it under advisement.
Hey, I got something that we can discuss that
Sure.
has been brought to my attention. It was a request and I wanted to bring it to you guys. When a couple of the business owners have contacted me asking on a temporary basis, would it be possible when the bridge closes down here that the 6-ton limit could be lifted for temporary for construction vehicles for local, for Depot Road?
I've heard that from a few people.
Yeah, I brought that to the attention of Richard, and Richard said he thinks it's a great idea.
I don't.
You know?
Go
Well,
ahead.
he
Sure.
lives on there.
Well, we've got a bridge there. And what's the bridge rated for? Depot.
That bridge is very secure over there by my house.
Yeah, it's got
That
it,
bridge is in good shape, really good shape. One of
because
the better
trucks go
ones
over it
in town.
anyway now.
Right.
Yeah, the only reason why it's not gonna be part of the detour is because.
No, I don't want a part of the detour.
No, just lift the
Just
ban.
lift the
let
ban
the
for,
6-ton ban.
for 6-ton bands so that the local businesses don't have to go all the way around.
Or anybody else for that matter.
Well, I mean, if
Sure.
If you know.
you know. But it's specifically designed for the businesses here in town.
Do you want any limit on that? Do you want, no
3
trucks?
tons.
3 tons. We're losing.
Well, logging trucks already go over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all
So-
trucks can go over it if they got business there. It's just not a throughway. But with the bridge being closed, it only makes sense to allow our businesses to use that road.
And it's only gonna be while the bridge is closed.
And it's only gonna be temporary while the bridges are
3 or
closed.
4 weeks.
Just cover up the sign with some,
You're
Yeah,
Black
you're
paper.
thinking ahead.
That's-
Bridget can do that.
I bet that bridge will be closed for 3 months.
Really?
It's gotta be open before
closed
school.
You'll
school.
limit me from that.
I bet.
It's gotta be open. And Richard wanted us to take a vote on it so that he can,
I make a motion that we temporarily ban the 6-ton limit on Depot Road during construction of the bridge for our local.
Start in July.
Lift the ban.
Lift
Lift
the
the
ban.
ban.
Lift the
There we
ban.
go.
I second the lifting of the ban.
And-
During the bridge construction, period only.
Yeah.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Glenn,
You don't want the, I can
You don't want the
understand.
Driveway never does anything good anyway.
Keep trying.
It's either that or Bruce is gonna go out Bunker Hill Road or I don't know, up Sandwich and that, you know,
So you'll let Richard know.
no, I think he'd still go,
He'll be here.
Yeah.
Depot Road.
no. I think he'd still go over 113 if he was going
I don't
in.
know, go down the road for
He
113.
wouldn't go up through one Lancet or anywhere else.
But
Give her a damage.
the
Not if you wanna
bartender,
have brakes left on your truck at the end of it.
Sit
Burn
on the
my
trees
house
down.
down.
should post a sign out.
Today?
Yeah, we lost power at the yard.
That's all I had.
Well,
Your meeting at 6?
Some
Huh?
services off houses.
yeah, but you wanna just do your
Oh.
stuff now,
Did
Dana?
a tree fall?
You come back?
Is that what it was?
Well, then don't come back.
Sunny
Then I
side.
saw an ambulance.
Go
All I
home.
had is that
Go home.
we're
Somewhere on
the
Maple Road.
advertising for the position is going out on a few
It's out.
different
Yeah,
Yep.
it is.
local and more
Municipal.
south as well, so we cast the net a little bit further. Yeah, actually, I already had some inquiry through an email this morning.
Oh, good.
I don't know if it must have come off that website or something,
be.
so. So I'm reviewing the process, actually had a training today about background investigations and stuff, so. Just trying to review the process of what we might end up taking, you know, depending on what kind of candidates we get, whether they're certified, uncertified, or just unknown, whatever, so. We might end up doing a full-on process of PT testing, candidates, oral board and all that, so. Unless we see something in there that, you know, some good candidates that we have rapport with or whatever, but
Did you get anything, down at the,
for the cadets,
yeah.
they're too young.
Somebody's gonna be 21 tomorrow.
Yeah, right, no, none of those. Other than that, we're just gearing up for the 4th of July, so. Parade and whatnot.
I can ask Richard, but do you know, I heard through the grapevine that they're gonna start dumping grindings up there beginning of next week.
Dumping what?
Grindings up on Cleveland Hill, and that's where the race is. Do you know that's true? Have you heard anything?
Grindings, what's grindings?
Where they
So-
grind up other
yes.
roads and bring
Oh.
it in?
I don't, I mean, I
Okay.
can find out, I'm sure.
Well, Richard will be here, maybe he knows, but, you know, you hold a road race on fresh grinding, that's a
Our
little hard
ad-
running.
Our admin
They'll pack
has
it
been
down.
in on those things, so she seems to be in the know more on the DOT stuff.
Oh, yeah, they might be able to do it. Well, tomorrow's Friday. They'd have Monday, I
And
guess,
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
How far does the race go? Does it go to Nation Rock?
Starts at Ordination Rock and runs down through, so.
You come down Cleveland Hill Road and you cut up into Remick Field and you go around the Remick Farm and you come down Great Hill and you hang a left and go up to the intersection and head towards the Brett's.
Okay. So it's just from basically Ordination Rock.
Right,
Yeah.
just wondering if we might need to move the start farther down if they actually put grindings on. Depends on how much they put on if they pack it.
Why are they putting grindings?
It saves in hot topping when you're done.
Even if
The
they're laying more
thing that
culverts.
bothers me, if they put the grindings on top of the pavements, it's there without grinding the pavement,
Right,
it's there.
right.
You're gonna have this thing going on in
Yes.
between, and that top pavement's just gonna bust all to pieces.
Yeah, that-
And then in
looking at
5
that
years,
really
they'll
bad.
grind it all up, take their grindings elsewhere, and lay them down somewhere else.
You're probably right.
That's probably their revenge for having to come to Tamworth and do that little piece.
Would you have time, I gotta go to a meeting tomorrow morning at 6.
Oh, goodness.
Will you have time to stop in and ask Amy to
Yeah.
send somebody up there to ask, because if Becky's,
Well, Richard might know, they may have contacted him,
yeah,
but that was only a thought. I mean, if they pack them down, it's not a problem running on them. But if
True.
they-
I think they'll be.
but if they
It's
don't,
gonna
I
be
would
like
think,
running up on the path up to, around Remick Museum, it's,
Yeah, that
well, it's a
path,
cross-country run,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
isn't a
yeah.
pavement or a track run, so I don't think it's a big deal.
okay.
I wouldn't worry about it. Deal as it is.
I did want to bring up something that actually has come to our attention a couple times now, every weekend. Noise issues.
I didn't call you.
We get complaints from a couple wedding venues in the area on noise complaints. I've spoken cordially with the venues to discuss,
So it's noise from the wedding venue?
yeah.
Okay, all right, I couldn't.
So I've spoken with the two venues that, one I was unaware of it was even a venue until last weekend. Which is nice and all that, but there is some concerning traffic issues up, on Lancet there, but, anyways, I've spoken with both the owners about, receiving the complaints at least from our end of things, and expressed, that yes, there's not much that we can enforce as far as way of noise ordinance on those type of things. An organized wedding event would be hard to prove disorderly conduct, unless you felt it was just out of hand. The other side of it is both those venues have been told by either prior people at the PD or someone maybe within the town here that 11 o'clock was a suitable hour to operate till. I've generally enforced 10 o'clock as
I
quiet
was gonna
hours.
say, most venues I've been
I
involved
felt
with
11
lately,
o'clock is
10.
a little bit later than, because there's always a wind down period typically as well. However, in speaking with the owners, they've all contracted with their customers based on the knowledge that 11 o'clock was suitable. So I can't do anything if somebody complains based on those obligations they have to their customers. I mean,
They're
I
business.
ask that they be mindful that they have neighbors and that there is a concern and there are complaints.
What's the noise? Is it like the
Just music.
fireworks or the music?
Nope, it's just music playing, and there's no
Is it-
fireworks allowed at either of those properties, at those venues, which is good for our standpoint, but, I mean, I know over here at the Preserve, part of their issue is that currently they're an outside venue because of the rebuilding, which I think they're looking for the end of August. you know, so once they move indoors, that'll change a little bit, you know, but.
If it's mostly music, then it's amplified, and it's pretty easy to, at least some token correction for benefit of the neighbors.
We've talked about, you know, possible, you know, remediations as far as where the DJ sets up and points the speakers, you know, so they're not reverberating
Part of
against.
Do
your
we
policy, your-
Well, that's for the townhouse, but,
But we could do one for all of.
well, that's why I said, don't we have an event? We don't have an event ordinance, oh, why would I not?
No, and that was a topic of
I
discussion I
actually
had with
have a
Rules and
Darlene,
regulation.
was, you know.
I mean, we can adapt, because the same thing, I was gonna say the same
Right,
thing,
I have a-
everything we've
I have
looked
a
at in the
couple we
last
can
year,
look
they
at.
end, you don't have to be out of the building until 11, but all music has to stop by 10. So you
If I
have
had
your
a bar
wind
set
down
up
phase
at
and stuff.
the last call's midnight or 1 o'clock.
Huh?
If I had a bar, what's
Right.
last call?
Most of the venues that I've been
But
at
that's in-
is 10 o'clock, everything shuts down at 10.
I mean, I got married up at the
Inside.
Preserve. My music was going till midnight. So,
Where'd you get married?
the Preserve.
But the same thing, it goes for
But it was
fireworks, I
inside,
mean,
though.
I don't know how many times over by our house, it's midnight and they're shooting off cannons and stuff, so.
But that's a, well, yeah.
But that's a private
I mean, we
individual.
It's a
take
private
complaints from the
business, so-
residents, it's valid complaints,
Oh,
it's
yeah, no,
valid
I'm
concerns,
not-
you know, I'm just limited in what we really can do, and it's not,
We don't
you know,
have
with
any
people that are
time
doing a
regulations.
business and that are trying to do the right thing with their business,
They're gonna.
you know, and we're showing up and crashing their wedding parties, that's not really what we're trying to do, you know, against their business. Now, if there was something in effect that said, yeah, hey, you were told 10 o'clock and you're still playing till midnight, now we got a problem, and we'll deal with it.
But there isn't anything
but,
in this
you know, if
town
they've
that I know
contracted
of
with
that
their-
says you can't have an event till 2 o'clock in the morning.
But what I'm
Stay
saying
that
is there not something we, because you said parking too, isn't there something we have that you have to apply for? I thought you had to apply if you were gonna be parking on the street and stuff. You had to,
Oh.
If you're a vendor working on somebody's house or
Right.
properties.
It might be
but I
worth,
mean, it might be worth tying all that into, because parking and stuff like that, just, well, you know,
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from, but Tamworth has said we don't wanna have zoning and regulations, you're not gonna get them.
but most towns, well, I won't go into, but
Yeah.
have an event application. So police, fire know there's an event going on,
yeah, I
and
think,
stuff like
I mean,
that.
we
more
could do
of-
something
I think
like
more of
that
it's
just for
a
their, for you
notification
know, for
and,
you,
and
so
what
you
we,
know what's going
the
on, but.
expectations might
And then
be.
just, it doesn't have to say, but it could say something like, it is recommended that music stops at 10 AM and 10 PM and stuff like that, or 11, or whatever the board decides on.
I mean,
Yeah.
people are pretty good as it is. I mean, you know, they either contact Darlene or they've contacted us directly or whatever, and, you know, she's referred them to us as well. And we've been in the know, you know, it may not have anything to do with us, but at least having the heads up is certainly helpful, especially some of, you know, there's several road races
race.
going on, you know, and they're running on those roads or whatever. Or whether it's just the back roads or something like that, you know, we just wanna make sure we're aware of it, you know, we don't wanna have a
And I'm not
surprise.
saying that there's a problem with that. I think, you know, when you start writing down, we expect you to be quiet at 10 PM. They're gonna look at you and go,
There's gonna be a kickback.
really?
Well, no,
Too
but I
bad.
say.
And that's certainly
This
a
is
can
my
of worms
business. I'm making money at it.
for
I'm
other
gonna
end.
run as late as I need to make my money.
Everybody's gonna make money somehow.
You know, I mean, that's their way of doing it. It's, yeah.
The only thing
It's
I
just the
can
way it
talk to, you know, the owners is that, you know, respect and courtesy for their abutting
Right.
neighbors,
And
you know.
that's the way
Everybody has
it's
a right to
always
file a
worked.
complaint, everybody has a right to, you know, be concerned about that, I mean,
I mean, I remember when it was Stafford's in the field and they had rock and roll there.
rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Eons ago.
I just got it, I just.
And I mean, it was
A long, long
loud,
time ago in a galaxy
far,
far,
far away, and it was loud.
I used
and
to
you
wash
could hear
dishes
it
for
quite
Ramona.
a ways, and it
You
went
can
on
hear it in the
till
middle of
1, 2
Chicago
o'clock
Lake
in
and
the morning.
stuff, yeah?
I was a younger pup then, so.
Just something to be, you know, just something to make you aware of.
Yeah,
Just makes
Yeah,
your
I
job
appreciate
interesting.
Yeah, we go out and listen to the music or whatever, and it's the same thing, and we'll get the complaints next week with all the fireworks. You know, there is an ordinance, but it doesn't apply to the use of it. You know, that's within the state applicable laws, and that's about it. Enjoy the show.
Yeah,
What I say with fireworks is that they gotta end some point. You're gonna run out of money at some point.
The unfortunate
You'd be
part, some of them
surprised.
have more money than they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Brains.
No, there are applicable
More money than
laws,
brains.
state laws that they
I wouldn't
have to
say
follow,
that.
so.
I'm just saying common sense.
I wonder if it would be worthwhile for us to write a letter about, to the venues that, you know, if they could, in the interest of their neighbors, future.
No, I think we should just put in a procedure type thing that at least they do an event application. Most towns have that. And so that police and fire, I mean, no offense, it's like the preserve. If they have 8,000 people show up there, which they've got plenty of land up there, it'd be nice to know ahead of time, or like the Chicago Mountain Run and stuff. The fire department was sitting in the station just in case for a while, in case somebody got hurt when they did the Chicago Mountain one. It's
Oh,
just,
the heads up
so
is,
you have,
is
and
definitely-
in that, just issue some guidelines, like it would be you know, think of your neighbors when you're holding your music and stuff like that. I mean, like he said, turn the speakers in towards your tent instead of out towards your neighborhood. And you're right, they can be adjusted at certain times. Not saying
Actually,
that they
it just-
gotta knock
just
them
made me
down, but
realize
just
that
make some
there's-
suggestions on the,
There's the event at Shakora this weekend, and now I just, we get multiple events come into us. There's also a motorcycle rally that's passing through and pit stopping at Shakora.
this weekend.
At the lake or
Huh?
at Scarlet Lake or?
At the same time as that event on Saturday.
They're not coming through at nighttime, that event is at nighttime.
Five
Oh,
to
their
seven.
event is,
Huh?
okay.
5 to 7.
Yeah, 5 to 7. I
Oh,
don't think the motorcycles are
conservation-
coming.
No,
Yeah,
no,
they're
they'll be
coming
coming
through
through
the
during the day.
daytime.
Okay. I wasn't sure of the exact time.
Yeah.
Oh,
But hopefully they won't use the.
I was just thinking
stuff
about
like that.
everybody at once showing up.
we gotta, every Thursday, we gotta, make an appointment to go to Rickers and then pray for rain, because this is pretty good. We talk about stuff
But
that
we
we
can,
never have time for
Right.
in a conversation here. It's
Part of the
pretty
reason
good.
we started earlier was so
We
we could
can-
get out of here early.
right, let's continue.
Cancel the appointment?
Yeah, let's
Let's
continue,
continue.
'cause I gotta
All
go.
day. What are they gonna do? Come chomp around through the mud?
Yes.
When
Well,
do
yeah,
you
we wanna
guys
see
want,
how you really
They
operate.
brought boots.
I don't do anything when it rains, to
do
be
you guys
honest
wanna
with
go to
you.
Rickers next Thursday? I mean, the next
Tomorrow,
meeting?
whatever.
Or do you wanna do it before that?
We have a work session before our next meeting, don't we? No, we have, next
No.
meeting then, right, I couldn't remember. No,
The
the next meeting is,
the 4th?
12th.
No, the 12th.
You can't
So
our
5
work
o'clock?
session is-
It's my
yeah.
birthday. You
When
can't-
does the permit run out?
So we're gonna go to 5 o'clock at your place,
Yeah,
on the 12th.
Is there food? I'll be there.
Yeah.
George always has goodies in the fridge.
I'm sure you guys make my sign.
Can't have those goodies while I'm working.
So, I'll go into my stuff, just real quick. I mean, most of you read everything. Is everyone using their new email?
I just logged in today and finally figured it all out. I
Okay.
think I got it to work.
Okay. So
Nobody sent me
see,
anything.
I haven't been using it because I didn't know if
I've
you were,
been getting
if
all
you were
mine.
using it yet,
Yeah.
so, okay,
I'm
so
bringing
Aaron
my
is,
laptop. I'm bringing
Okay.
my laptop,
Dan,
and
do
one
you know
of
how to
people
do your
showed
new
me.
email?
No,
Going through Squirrel Mail? Did I send-
Squirrel mail.
I'll send you the
Set it up on
directions.
that.
You don't have to really set anything up.
There's directions?
Yes, I
Yeah.
sent everybody directions.
Wait a minute, I'm male. You're allergic
All right,
to the
so-
directions.
who
All
needs direction?
You gotta hit me when showing me.
It's
I'll
gonna have
come in and see you,
pictures.
Darlene, you can walk me through it.
Okay.
I won't be back.
Is
until-
everybody okay? Or-
Have patience with him, he's electronically challenged.
I know.
Whippersnappers, whatever those are.
You know,
But anybody,
you
would
try
every-
and raise them right, and sometimes you just fail.
is everyone okay if I have Tammy come out and speak with us?
Tammy.
Tammy from the auditor.
Oh, yeah, you mean we go over the report?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I
It is
know.
gonna cost a little bit of extra money.
I got some
175
questions on
an
that
hour.
report, so I'd rather have the
Plus
auditor here than.
75 an hour plus miles.
No, it's 155 an
155.
hour.
Oh, for
Do you wanna
FCC.
limit the time?
$5 an hour for traffic.
Yeah,
Right,
Yeah.
plus mileage.
Plus
Yeah, I
mileage.
mean,
Right.
I
Where'd
know
she come
Kim
from?
has questions, we have questions.
I have
I'd like to
questions.
see where some of the numbers go. We know where they are, but how did you get them here and.
And how would a normal person find them there?
Exactly.
That's reading the
Right,
audit?
Right. Okay.
But we'll limit her to what, 45 minutes?
Well, that, we'll see.
How far do they travel from?
I think she lives in Manchester.
Who proofs, who are we gonna get to look at the policy? The
What-
proposed,
Which policy?
The fund balance policy?
Fund
The
balance.
only one we,
Oh, the fund balance one?
yeah,
And where'd that come from?
It came up
It's
out of the
from-
216 audit,
Yeah.
suggested by the auditors that the town needed a fund balance.
Okay.
So what I did was I took 7 towns, I think you sent me, what, 3?
Maybe.
And I took 4 other towns in the county and looked at their best fundraising fund balance policies and combined it into a policy for the town.
I was confused by the time I got halfway through it.
Well, that's because it's all based on the GBA. Most of them spell out everything that way because it's all based on general accounting and they want the
Right.
different accounts spelled out so everybody looking at it would know exactly what the accounts meant. But it's just a run through and we can mark it up or whatever we want.
Yeah. no,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's,
I
right, we
just-
can talk about that, yep.
For the layman, I think it's pretty tough to figure out.
It's not made for laymen,
know, but-
unfortunately.
except we got a couple of heavy hitters in town too, John Wheeler, who,
Yeah.
you know, John Wheeler knows his
Bob
finance
Sesson.
and was a town manager, and Robin.
Mhm.
was a
And that's what
town
I said, I
manager.
just threw it
Right.
together
Yeah.
based on many different policies, took the
And,
best
yeah,
out
we're
of every
gonna-
policy.
You guys are gonna go
Great.
through and mark it up.
The only reason the
Great.
percentages are in there is because this town operates on percentages. Other people say at such and such a time, they'll put a certain amount every year in, no matter what. We base on percentages, so it was just meant as a draft for people to read through, drip up, and we'll go over it another time.
Okay.
I would just assume.
And we'll have
rely on-
other people look at it for sure.
That's
Well, and I
good,
think the treasurer should look at it as
but
well.
maybe not a
And
hundred.
speaking of the treasurer, let's get that.
Seems to me like everybody's got a lot of questions about it.
Yeah.
Can we just have a, because we say 45 minutes, it's not gonna go 45 minutes, and you're
Oh,
gonna
well, I
have it in a
wasn't even
regular.
No,
gonna bring
no.
up the fund balance policy to her.
Steve brought that
This
up.
was-
That doesn't
yeah,
have
that's
anything to
not
do with
even
the
what we're
auditor.
talking about with the
They
auditor.
suggested we have one.
It's where they took money to make it balance, right?
Right. Yeah.
Where did the money come from and why did it come out of that fund and not this fund?
Right. But if they're prepared with the questions, when this lady gets here, at least we can.
Right,
maybe-
right. I mean, that fund balance policy will be another time, I think, for her. That wasn't not my
Not about it, you
initial.
guys need
for this
me
con-
for
for
anything
That's
else?
for us
Yeah.
to work it
Bye,
out and
Dana.
stuff.
Thanks, Dana.
And then decide what we wanna do from there.
So, to the treasurer, we've had a couple conversations, and she has been working with Meredith Village. We got our interest rate on the money market up to 1.35 from 0.75.
No kidding.
Yep. And we also have information to put some of that money into CDs, which she'll probably come in and talk to you about. They'll do 1.9 for a 15-month CD from anything over 25,000. So, at first we were thinking it was gonna have to be more than that, but, so she's gonna be looking into some of that, as well, which I don't think is gonna happen for a while, so that'll be nice.
The trustees, although I would hesitate to put any money that has to be readily available in the investments that they do, but they might have an idea of what's around and how good a deal something is, just to.
I mean, this is just gonna come right from Meredith Village,
Right.
which right now is just sitting in a, which is now 1.35, which is gonna be nice. It started, that went up today. So,
Which was 0.7.
0.75, yep, yep. The bridge work, I think it came in today, I don't know that everybody saw it. It's gonna start
17th?
25th,
25th now.
25th of June.
Yeah.
The
July.
Well,
No, I thought
No,
it was the
June.
7th.
It was the 18th originally.
Sorry, no, wait, yeah, July.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was
What am I
originally
saying?
gonna be the 17th, and now they pushed it to the 27th.
Okay, Buttons Bridge. The later they go, the
worse it gets.
Oh, I got it right
worse
here
it
in
gets
front
for
of
the
me.
school, the better it gets from the
No,
Barnstones
on
and
June
the Distillery.
25th, they're gonna start over there, not close anything, but they're getting the materials there, people will be there, working, things like
Yeah,
that.
I
They
read
haven't
that letter, it
decided-
doesn't say anything about
Right.
them closing.
Right, they haven't decided when they're
Yeah.
closing it yet. That letter doesn't say that, they're just gonna start doing some,
Because they put the bit,
According to the letter, they've already started.
Is
they
that
did,
3
it's
days
in the
ago?
barriers
in
up
the-
over there.
no, you didn't, no, that's why I said not everybody saw it.
I didn't see it.
No, it just came out.
They'll close it when they have to.
Right, they haven't decided, I didn't get that yet.
There'll be a big
So
sign
they
up there at the
staged this,
corner.
they started staging this thing 2 days ago?
Standing
They
out there
did,
waiting
yeah,
till 6.
yeah.
and
Brutal.
All the materials out there,
Good.
They have a
We're
big
open.
pile of stuff out there now, but.
You can come in.
How much is she from her?
Oh.
Sorry, thank you.
That's all I have.
The ambulance?
And are
Oh
they
yeah,
gonna,
you were gonna talk about the ambulance. I thought you could do it if,
I'll wait.
when
I
she,
don't care.
he's supposed to be here, but that was the note for you to remember.
I did.
Move on to the, I mean, is Barnstormers coming in to talk about that, or were
No,
they just here?
They weren't coming in, they just said submitted the letter.
I mean, I think it makes sense to allow people to put signs over there. My only concern is they put it in a place where you come out and you can't see up the road and down the road.
My only concern is, shouldn't we address that with the Chikora?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do we
It's-
even own that land?
We do own that piece,
We own it.
we own that
Yeah,
piece.
but I think it would be nice, you know,
Courtesy.
courtesy to that board to see what they say. Because they take a lot of time and energy in that village.
yes, they do.
So I think that that should be presented to them and get their opinion.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And it's really not vital until Butler's Bridge closes.
Right,
Yeah, but see, I didn't get that. I got that they wanted to get it up
So that people knew
Yeah.
new.
ahead of time where to go.
Right. So
It'll take-
I got a feeling they're gonna put it up, because they've already started, so I got a feeling they're gonna put it up in the next.
I think it would take no time at all to email or call John Gotcha. And, you know, the Bostoners would like to.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, just
Wouldn't hurt nothing.
public
so do you want me to do that?
relations, yeah, I think that they should be notified and that they should opine on what they think.
And if they say they don't want it,
But I agree, they ought to talk to Richard as well to make sure that it does not block sightline
it's tough enough
traffic,
looking
because
south now
that's
with
right.
And that was
leaves
one of
coming
the
out
things
there,
I'd like
and it's
to,
just
I
one
would
more
talk about when
thing.
he was here. Well,
well, it's state.
Are you expecting Richard?
no, but he would
Oh,
just know
about the
about
sign.
it, the sign,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Actually, I
got a
don't know
phone
about
call
Richard. I did
at
see him.
3 from Richard.
Yeah,
I don't know, I never answered the phone, but my inclination is to call him if he's, you know, if he has
I don't know if
something
he's
he wanted
coming, I
brought.
didn't see him today, usually I do,
Yeah,
Somebody else dropped off the
yeah,
time slips. so.
yeah. So,
might take a minute to go call
so I will call
Sean.
him. Barnstormer sign. So if they're blessed by the Cora board, then you guys are all set with that?
As long as
Richard can go
yeah,
by
so
and
we
take a
can
look
make
at it,
sure
and make
that-
sure it's in a good spot? Okay.
Yeah, the question is, weren't they gonna ask the state if they could put it there as well?
Yeah,
Right,
It's
but they
on.
just needed
Well, it's
permission from
it's
the
on
landowner.
the landowner.
they have, but
To-
don't they
before
have
they
to have a
submit
letter
this.
from us saying we're saying it's okay?
Right,
Yeah, there was one
we have to
typed
sign
up that-
off being
Yeah.
the landowners
Yeah.
before they can even send it to the state.
Right.
So the season will be
And the
half
state
over
will
by the
take
time they get an
time to-
answer back. Well, that's why I said the season will be half over by the time.
I think if it's in the park, I trust they're not gonna put it in the sidewalk.
I didn't think they were gonna put it in the park, I thought they were putting it on the side of it. Cause we don't,
No.
do we own the park? We don't own the park, do we?
Yeah, we do.
We own.
We own the
Where they're putting
sinkhole.
If you stand at the kiosk, we don't own to your right, we do own to your left.
Right, in the
And
sinkhole.
all the way to the
Right.
river.
With the bioretention pond, we own, from the kiosk to the dam, we don't own.
I gotta tell, you know, now that you said that, well, I can't see how you're gonna put it there without it blocking.
That's what I'm saying, because the trees are basically almost blocking it now,
Yeah.
cause they've grown up in that. I'll call it the sinkhole, you call it the retention pond, whatever you want, but the trees are almost blocking the view from the north now. Those
Actually, it'd be
bushes,
better if it was on a signpost that was up in the air,
yeah.
then all you see is the post.
Right, still see a blinker turning right there or something.
But that's why I say, let Richard see, maybe they can move it
Yeah.
back.
All right.
I don't know how they're gonna move it any closer
get
to
Richard
16,
involved.
because you won't be able to see.
I mean, I think the ideal is you put it right in the middle of the detention, you just drive a stake and put it up on that.
My
make it
idea
the
is, why
detention.
doesn't Chicago Road come out? Oh, they want him to take the detour up over Page Hill to get to Barnstormers once the
Well-
bridge goes out?
Right. Right.
Of course, anybody coming north and south on 16 is gonna go that way to get the Barnstormers anyway.
True.
I think the better place for it, really, to get people would be down on the end of Depot Road. Is anybody coming south on 16, if they're coming to the Barnstones, they know where they're going, they're just gonna turn and come this way.
We should-
And if they're coming from 25,
That's why,
Well,
he
it was
asked him
noisy.
once to come in and they were discussing something.
Yeah, have them
but
come
we're
in so we can
public.
get going.
Yeah, I just don't want anybody to,
they all left?
Yeah.
Thank you. We didn't want to impose.
No, they just shut the door because it was, you guys were talking so loud.
Yeah, that's what we thought. You'll get still mine.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think I have it on my- I think I'm gonna,
They sent out for literature.
Who are you?
Most people don't think I make them.
Oh, I think right on Depot Road would be good.
so are we
'Cause
sending
you
him a
get it both,
letter to
you
that
get it both
effect?
ways.
Let me, I was gonna say, I was gonna call John and see what he says. Let's talk to Richard, and then I'll get a hold of Diane
Yeah, I mean, I just,
and suggest that.
makes more sense the way traffic flows.
Okay.
You wanna catch them before they get up there. I won't put that many people on Page Hill either.
if,
You don't want them on page. huh?
Well, I'd rather have more people on Depot Road than I would on Page Hill, because Page Hill is, you know, narrower,
Pretty tight.
steeper, and curvier. And if you're on Depot Road, it's fairly straight, fairly wide, so.
Them rocks aren't forgiven right there. on
Why,
Page Hill.
where's my agenda?
So, you need an agenda?
I,
have
Here,
one.
you can have mine.
No, I have
I'm
it in
using
my
that one 'cause I
paperwork.
printed it out.
Yeah, here's a duplicate.
well, now she has 4.
Good.
Yeah, but I have my notes on mine.
Oh, sorry.
Aha, got it. So, ready to go to Friends?
Darlene, can I just give you this before I lose it?
Uh,
I didn't get to go to the
So I
ED,
can
I
use
didn't get to go to the Lakes Region
was
dinner
pretty
the other
good.
night, so something came up, so
I
I
paid
paid
at
for
the
If
my.
I
door.
could, I'm gonna go return,
I paid at the
I'm
door.
gonna call Richard, and if he has anything he wants
I
to,
don't think so.
No.
us to
Did you-
say, yeah.
Did
I was
you
gonna
pay for
say, I
that
had to pay,
dinner?
I gave Pat Farley my money.
We
but
did,
You paid for it?
yes.
And
Well,
they
I had to pay
collected
when I
from
was
him
going to the
too.
door.
I paid too.
You did?
Yeah.
For what?
I don't, actually, I don't know if we got a bill for that, so I'm not gonna say yes.
For
I
what?
shouldn't
Hi,
say that.
Richard.
Well, then if we
Sorry,
did, you
I
can
just,
give me
you
that
know,
back.
It's all right.
You find
Go out in
out.
the hall and call you
And
out.
if you did,
You paid for what?
Absolutely, oh yeah,
You paid for
we
what?
were supposed to.
dinner at the Lakes Region Planning
They were
Commission.
supposed to send us a bill.
Stealing my candy. Alrighty.
All right, let's go then.
Okay.
Took the last good.
That's why I grabbed it.
Oh, there's way more where that came from. Richard, I have a question for you,
Sure.
because I think you're on. I had somebody call about Hollow Hill Road.
Yep.
Is there gonna be work done on that? No?
Nothing
Okay.
issue.
So is it as messy as he says it is?
As far as what?
Potholes and stuff?
I'll check it. I didn't think it was.
Okay,
Hollow Hill Road's the best it's ever been.
okay,
That's all it was in pretty good shape.
all right,
The south end is,
Is that the same road?
that's the road he said.
I thought it was in
So,
pretty good shape.
give me a call, sir.
Cool.
and
I'll
I'll-
check it tomorrow.
All right.
But that must be the one that went by where I was working at about 55 miles an hour.
It's
probably
very
the same
possible,
one.
it's very possible, that's all he said was, when are you gonna start fixing this road? And that was it was a message, I didn't talk to the gentleman,
Oh, okay.
so, yeah,
I'll go and check it.
Do you know
Okay.
Do you know who it is, so you can get back to him?
I do, I have a name and number,
All right,
oh yeah,
good.
yeah, but I didn't wanna call him unless I found out.
Yeah.
Alright, good.
Normal maintenance?
I can give you, well, we'll start, I'll tell you. The Barnstormers have asked to put up a sign when an arrow's pointing to the Barnstormers down on Shore Village,
Yeah.
right where the drainage is. And we were gonna ask the Chicora board if they approve of it, and if there is no problem, then I guess we're gonna ask them to change the location, but the bottom line is, wherever they put that sign out, can you make sure that it's not blocking the view? You know what I'm saying?
They're talking the bottom of Page Hill in the village? No?
In the
On
swamp
16.
hole. In the sinkhole.
So if you're coming off of 16, they wanna see a
Where
sign.
the sediment pond is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we called it a number of things.
okay. All right.
And our concern is if it goes there, when you come down and you try to get on 16, and if you're looking,
I'll take a look at it, that's a state issue.
We know that, but we
Well, I
have
hear
to
what
give
you're
them
saying.
permission
Yeah.
first to get the state, to
They're
go to
looking
the
to put
state.
it not in the sidewalk, on the grassy area there, that is town property, right beside, I guess right beside the bioretention.
My only concern would be is people coming on to 113 looking up.
Right,
That's
That would
what our
be-
concern is,
That's
so.
my concern is there.
yeah, that's a
That
tough,
should
that's
not be
tough
blocked, you don't
sight
wanna
lines.
block that at all there, that's a busy place.
Tough enough for one looking south.
It is, even without anything there.
So maybe I'll just.
I mean, my recommendation to them was to pick up they're trying to pick up traffic off 25, put it down Depot.
Yeah,
Because otherwise you're gonna be sending everybody 113
They might-
and Page Hill.
They might
Maybe I'll
ask,
just call her first.
they might ask
tomorrow,
which Coke
See if she can
if
change.
they could put it at the dry hydrant before the sidewalk. You know, next right or something. Right now, it's a sandwich sign
you know,
that, you know, it's pretty, but
2 feet by 3 feet, that blocks quite a bit of vision.
it would especially pulling off the 113 on the 16, I think that'd be a concern.
I agree. We also voted as a board when temporarily, when the bridge is closed, that the ban for the weight limit on
On
Depot Road.
Yeah. I spoke to Dave from the state, Dave Sylvia, and he said within 28 days, they're gonna have that bridge so one lane they can get over with trucks.
no
That's
kidding.
a super, you know, after you had mentioned it, I spoke to him again, and he said it's gonna be within 28 days, they're gonna have one lane open so that they can get over with trucks.
So all it
that's-
be is 28 days then with
The only thing, my only concern with Depot Road is, I mean, you guys know where the road on tours, that I think we should be able to do it, but I just think that's gonna really be, I think there's a safety issue there, because you're gonna have a lot more passenger cars going over that, and that's a busy road in the summertime between the campground and everything. I think that it's gonna need to be policed a lot heavily more, I really do, that's my concern.
Well, we can do that too.
I just think that it should be, because there's gonna be a lot of truck traffic on there.
Yeah.
I mean, Ambrose is in the summertime, and there's just the busy places.
Yep.
And they shouldn't have to go around, but I just think
He's
that,
right there.
you know.
Yeah, welcome back.
Dan, I was just saying on Depot Road that my concern is that, I mean, granted, they're gonna go across it, but the truck traffic, it's gonna be a busy road. It's a busy road anyway,
Right.
it's gonna be very busy.
I think we're gonna end up having to fill it a lot more, just in general, because of the traffic study. I mean, we have a problem there anyway,
Yeah,
but with the bridge coming, I mean, it's gonna be that much more, plus the trucks.
that's,
You know, and if the trucks are moving at a good clip and people are coming around corners, so on and so forth, I mean, it's just not normal traffic.
it isn't.
So I definitely will be on our radar for more patrols.
Good. And they're starting right after the 4th, right?
Yeah, they're talking now the 25th of July, or even after that, not before the 25th.
But I thought they had done it all along.
No, I didn't, I think that, I didn't
I
see that
said
in
the last I
information.
heard was
Yeah.
the 17th, when we
Yeah,
were up
no.
at the fire wards meeting, they were gonna shut down on the 17th. She got a letter saying they were going to start loading equipment and stuff on
June 25th.
which they did, because the
Right.
cement barriers and stuff have been piled up there and stuff.
All right.
Becky brought up an interesting question about the road race. If they're grinding downhill from Ordination Rock, that's the start of the race.
Are they putting I heard through the grapevine that they're putting grindings down starting next week on.
Well, I haven't heard, I know that they ditched it, they said, but I'm
Okay.
not, I haven't heard what they're gonna do, but.
I was just wondering, we'll just keep a check on it, because as long as it's packed, it's no problem with running it,
No,
but,
I
you know.
can find out.
Do you know what actually they're going to do to the road? Are they gonna grind the surface?
The last I had the understanding, they were just gonna take the grindings they milled up, lay it up to the grade and go over what they already did, the date was already there. That was my understanding
That's
the last
what I
time.
heard,
They were gonna use the asphalt grindings that they had at other locations and put them in, and lay it up with a grade
And
grind,
mix that with,
with the
but pack down,
grindings,
right.
and roll it down with that.
Chief?
We have a meeting tonight, if you want, I'll ask Jim about this, and the last I knew was 17th for the bridge. But I'll ask what they're actually doing and make sure we're all set for the 4th.
Thanks.
And I'll shoot you an
Of
email.
course.
This is their road.
Yeah.
You got anything else for the road agent? Folks, questions or comments for the road agent?
I talked with somebody that put a machine up at the townhouse way in the back, he pushed it back for me. And he said he was starting this road here, Monday morning. So I assume Richard,
Yeah, I don't.
in front of the townhouse, the parking lot, he pushed it way to the corner, Richard,
Yeah,
the paver guy.
Okay.
But he asked permission too, so.
It's up in the parking lot by the townhouse.
He said he also asked Jim Bowles, so.
Yeah. I hadn't seen it because I wasn't happy.
We're gonna start up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what he told me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Guess it's not.
Dicey Lou. Questions or comments for the road agent? Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
Chief Colcord.
Just gave you the stats since 6/16 when that was requested. Fire and the rescue, everything's going great. We're all set for the 4th. Gonna give Dana a hand with some traffic. I have to be at school as soon as the fireworks land there. We've got our auction on the 9th, that Saturday, 10 o'clock. The specifications for replacing the hose truck have gone out. Those won't be open until August 2nd, that board's meeting, because NFPA says they recommend 30 days, and we figured with the 4th of July and everything, so we gave them an extra 30. We've gotten a lot of questions back. 6 vendors have them working on it. Emergency management, everything is good. Still waiting on maps. She got behind a little bit for a hazmat plan. The October 30th storm, unbelievable how much work that is. It'll be worth it in the long run. If you agree with me, Darlene, we should get somewhere around 50,000 back.
Right.
Reimbursing that, but it's unbelievable amount of paperwork, and emails and meetings.
Right.
I'm gonna do everything I can tomorrow to get that done. Tried to today, we had 6 or 7 calls today, we've been a little busy.
Yeah. That's the auction, I think Saturday is the 7th,
It
not
probably
the
is.
9th. So I just wanna make sure you got the right
It
date.
is.
Yeah, it is, alright,
Okay,
yep. That 9 looks like a 7, something like that.
On the hazardous mitigation.
Yes,
we can
sir.
Go to that just for a second. Is there some way that we can record stuff different and better so that it doesn't take so much time in recreating the wheel when there is an incident that's a storm? It seems that just, I mean, you should be able to go, okay, this was on such and such a date, this happened. Push the button to get all the
It's-
info.
It's federal forms.
We went through this
FEMA
really
is-
the last time when we had, in 2011 hurricane, was it Irene? We went through the same thing.
it's
FEMA
And
forms.
what-
FEMA.
and they've changed it even since then
Be-
again.
Because they changed the.
They changed it, and that's what they do, it's just,
Right.
And Darlene vouches, in the middle of this, we get all this packaged email information from FEMA through the state to us and saying, well, if you would like, you can
Self-promote
a
or
totally
self-
different program, self-certify.
Yeah.
And we've already done all this. I can almost guarantee you, we're not gonna have a major event in this town again, as long as I'm a EMD. It is worth it. It just simply takes so much time.
I didn't know if there was something in our system that we could
God, I wish.
adjust.
If we had the
We were,
exact
you
same
know-
storm as October 30th, next October,
But it's
Yep.
still getting the time cards, you have to pull everybody's time cards, we have to pull paperwork all over the place, it's just,
Well, they hope you
and
get,
that's what they want.
they hope you get fed up, so
Maybe.
therefore you're not gonna continue the
Well, we
process
did
and
it.
get any money back.
it's going forward.
Good, thanks, sorry.
No, please. Health officer, everything's good. There is one municipal water system in town that's under a boil order. We're tracking that, and the state's involved. Forest Fire Board and everything is good. The Municipal Building Committee, we did not have a meeting in June. There's only 2 people available, so our next meeting, that's where I messed up, will be July 9th. That's the second Monday of July.
July 9th, okay.
Yes, sir.
At 7,
7 o'clock at the station, yep. And I will check with Jim Bowles, Cleveland Hill Road, and I'll show you emails tomorrow, and Public Bridge.
I guess I'm curious, is it the town system that's under boil water?
It's a private community.
Okay. Normally, we get notification on that.
I think
We used to anyway.
Right, it's not this one.
No, if it's private, you wouldn't, only the private operators would get it.
Right, those folks that it impacts.
Is that the one that Chief Littlefield and you were working on together?
No,
No?
that's done
Okay. Good.
and mitigated.
Good deal.
Do you want me to bring up my question now?
sure.
And Richard can back me up, we've already talked about it. It's my understanding that our ambulance contract, and it's not just this town, it's a number of towns, that they're not meeting the contract requirements. They either don't have ambulances, as you can see, we transported, or they're only sending one person on an ambulance. I don't know whether we should get together with other selectmen of the town, because I know there's about 4 other towns that are experiencing the same thing in this contract, and say, either provide or you negated your, I mean, we're still getting billed the same amount, but they're not providing the service.
I think that of the 6 towns, the one who's most impacted by the contract, keeping the contract is Tamworth.
Effingham and them have been experiencing the same thing,
True,
so,
except we, correct me if I'm wrong, our ambulance, our rescue vehicle has been their contractually required 4th on-call vehicle, and under mutual aid. They're supposed to have a 4th vehicle parked here in case everybody calls. Am I right about that, that we?
Not contractually.
Right,
Mutual
as I
aid,
said.
yes, we'll go, if
Right.
Freedom calls, need something, they got it, if we're
Right.
available. I think Becky does have a very legitimate point, it's been worse lately, I think maybe there was some personnel change, hopefully it's a temporary thing. Tamworth is in a good spot, because we have the personnel in the own vehicle to take care of that. I think on my end, I should document those 2 times where one person showed up, and it's gonna happen, it did today, they simply, some days we need 10 ambulances, some days we don't need any, that's going to happen. But I'll document all of that, get it to you, and you should, if you haven't, just review the contract, because there's consequences if they do that, we can
correct.
fine them.
We can
So,
find them,
Richard, didn't we
we're
just-
not paying for
Didn't we address this?
We went to Freedom,
Yeah, I mean, it was 6 months ago, the old board, we addressed it with them,
Yes,
with you.
and like I say, I believe it's change of personnel over there, so they were hurting for the people.
But it hasn't improved any since you addressed it. And our crews are basically being used, not only our crews, but other town crews
Subsidizing
are
it.
having to jump on the ambulance so they get a 2-person transport. They're not paying our crews to be their 2nd-person transport. So I think it behooves us to at least sit down and say, what's going on? If they want to say change of personnel, okay, you give them some grace way. But this is not only happening here, it's happening almost in every town that's on that contract.
There's a $100 charge if they can't make the required time. And during negotiations, they announced that they couldn't make one Lancet in the required time. How many of those there are, but and I'm not biting at the bit to collect $100 per run from anybody. But if Tamworth covers, and this was especially hurtful, I think, before the chief had set up the billing thing, we're gonna get reimbursed, or we're gonna be able to go after the automobile insurance, whatever it is. Not only were we transporting, but nobody was getting transporting money because we had not, select board didn't vote to.
Do you think it's a major issue?
Bill.
Do we need to document it and sit down with them? Or do you think that it's being worked out?
Honestly, I think it's being worked out.
Then
Well, I know 2 other towns that, well, you said you went to a
I-
meeting the other night,
I
it didn't
think
sound
the
very
board should
helpful,
write a
and,
note to them, putting them on notice that we have noticed this and we don't expect it to continue. Thank you very much.
I think the bottom line, just my gut feeling, the way that contract's written is open to interpretation. If you read the boilerplate and then read what's specific to Tamworth, to me, it's very confusing. It seems like we each have a way out of that.
But our understanding going into it was that they were going to provide service when there's no response at all, or several times that vehicles show up with only one driver and no medical personnel on board. That isn't part of what the contract was.
and I'm concerned that every time one of our people has to hop on as their second person, that's one less person to treat the people and respond to Tamworth.
And
And
it's actually legal. We can't run our, you have to have 2 New Hampshire provider
Right.
licenses on it.
On your own
So we
rig.
can't just take somebody to drive and somebody to do patient care. And I'm willing to bet, however we proceed with this, pursue it, that company's just gonna say, you're right, we need another ambulance. It's gonna cost you this much more for another ambulance. That is my interpretation, the way that contract, there's an out on either side. To me, it's a,
But I think just a letter
I
saying
think
we
they
were
need to
noticing
put on
this.
notice.
Okay.
Because if you don't document it and put it on
You're
notice,
right.
then you're never gonna have a leg to
Right.
stand
I
on later
agree.
on.
and hopefully that was just that time frame when some folks moved on or whatever happened.
Let's
My
know we're
question
watching.
is, does it need to get to our level, or do you wanna work it out at your level?
I'd be happy to pursue it and get back to you.
I think
Great.
that's,
Great.
It's up to you
if you
guys.
can't handle it at your level, then you bring it to us and then we jump in. But I think that it should be handled at the lowest level, you guys work side by side. What I don't want is a pissing contest.
That's a very good point, because you're right, we help each other out.
Yeah, so if you can't handle it and work it out, bring it to our attention and we get involved.
Yep.
Is
So-
it, do you have another town besides Effingham?
2 that I know of.
You might drop the names to the chief who
He knows them.
okay, who gets along.
And again, I think it affected all the towns in that contract, and it was a time period where some folks just said, I'm moving on, doing whatever, and they scrambled a little bit to get some people in. I saw 2 new people I'd never seen today, so hopefully it's isolated, taken care of.
Thank you, chief. Questions or comments for the chief? Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Parker?
Summer program registration is proceeding. We had 3 registration days. As always in the past, I don't turn anybody away because they don't make it. I had slips in the school, schedules in the school. They're here with Kim at the front desk. People can register at any point throughout the summer. Right now, we're in the high 40s, or 49 or 50. I anticipate by the end of the summer, we'll be at a normal, 80-ish. And again, those don't all go every day, but our biggest field trip will be 50 and, on down. We did CPR training last Thursday? I don't know, we did it in the last couple of weeks. 5 of the 6 that will be working for me took it. 1 was already certified, she's studying to be a nurse, she's got above and beyond that anyway. So they're all set for that, and we'll have 1 more training session. I've had it with 2 of them, and I'll have it with the other 4. It's tough getting all 6 together at one time, because they have other jobs and other things going on, but they all will receive the training before we kick the summer off on the 9th, so I don't anticipate any trouble with that. Buses are all scheduled for the trips, contracts with all the parks as far as what days we're going, approximate number of kids, etc., agreed upon price. The 4th of July, the parade is looking pretty good. We've got 9 or 10 people that have contacted me about floats or entries. Normal year, we've had as few as 6, as many as 14 or 15. Got a call from Rickers today, so.
I will be in the parade this year.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be pretty good. I've been contacting different people, got the color guard in place, I've talked with Dana, the chief, traffic control, I think we're all set there.
Yep.
With Rich Culker as far as the fireworks, they'll rope off as they always do, the fire department, to keep the people from getting too close. Got the bands lined up, contract for the fireworks, I believe we're good to go. Hopefully the road race won't be too affected by the Roundup Road, but,
Who knows?
yeah. Anticipate a good day, long-range forecast, the weather looks good. It's always a concern. But I think it's gonna, as of right now, it looks good for Wednesday. And it is, the 4th will be on the 4th, as always. It was that way when I took over, and we proceeded to do that on the 4th. I don't know how long it's been on the 4th, but it always has been. So, Family Day has always taken place on July 4th.
Obviously, it's always down a little bit when it's midweek versus weekend, but
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Comments or questions for Parker about Rep or 4th of July? Folks, any questions? We're all gonna be there.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Pat?
Yeah, speaking of the 4th, I'm speaking of August 4th. So anyway, that's when we're gonna be having the street fair. And there's a plan to have a couple of mini races which are called .5K races. And they're gonna go right at the very beginning at 9 o'clock when the street is actually closed. And this is through the nurses. And it's gonna be a walker, race. And that's gonna go from where exactly the street is closed on Greg's Way to the church. And then there's also gonna be a young person's race. We figured it won't take more than about, maybe the walkers will take longer, but the other people could probably run it in about 3 minutes to get from there to there. So I figured the whole street fair isn't gonna get affected very much, but they're safe. They were gonna do it at 8:45. I said, no. It's best to wait till this road's closed and then run down the street. Anyway, it's just gonna be interesting for about 15 minutes, and I think there'll be interesting publicity about that too, which they're arranging. I have nothing to do with it actually, other than they said, is it okay if we do it? Okay, the street fair is coming along as far as the plans, you've been to them before, and so you know sort of how it's gonna be. I was hoping that the other chief and this chief would be helpful to me and all of us as far as particularly the first year we had a lot of the volunteer firemen that helped a lot with street control, with parking and driving control, and I'm hoping that I can have that happen again. And I know that the police department has been terrific about having somebody around. And we haven't had anything go wrong, but it's just that it's just safer, I guess. Let's see. The other thing is, I mentioned to you before, by the way, the LRPC annual dinner was Monday, and I'm very pleased that it was it was at capacity. And Willie was there, and Aaron was there, and I was looking for you.
I know.
No, I said, where's Becky? I even asked I said, I know she's coming. Anyway, but it doesn't matter. I'm sorry we missed you, but there was a table that was reserved just for Tamworth because there were so many Tamworth people. You missed that one because I didn't know you were coming, or I would have put you there, but anyway. It was, I know you did, I know. So there actually, I think that there must have been 13 or 14 Tamworth people there out of a total of 120 people. So that was pretty good, I thought. And there were 2 awards, and so we got the awards for Tamworth, for Mary Phelps, for wet paint, for the Community Service Award, and for Achievement of Excellence, it was for the Tamworth Village Association. Okay. Last time I was here, I mentioned that the planning board had talked about one of the priorities that they were feeling was broadband. I did some checking and I've had some advice, and I tried to start to follow that advice, except interesting thing, at the annual dinner, the speaker was George Bald, who used to be the Director of Economic Development for the state of New Hampshire. And so he was at my table, we talked a bit, whatever, and I mentioned that I was interested in maybe hearing his thoughts about this. So the next morning, I get an email from him that he copied Carol Miller with the email, who called me today about this, and she we talked for a while, and she said that she's done what she has done before, and she offered to do it here. And I said, I'm gonna have there's a selectment meeting tonight, I'll mention it. And she suggested that she'd be more than happy to meet with the town leaders, particularly the selectmen and the planning board, or whoever else you think, to talk about what and steps that need to be taken to begin the process of seeing what we can do. And I figured that probably what I'm gonna need is, should it be at a meeting, or what do you think about that, or whatever. So I told her I'd get back to her with what the comments were.
Broadband issue came up with that regional thing. And there's a couple of folks who use Fairpoint's internet. That's their provider. Interesting stuff that broadband, when they first defined broadband, it was 3 meg. Now it's 25. Fairpoint claims that what they have is 3 meg, based on years ago description of broadband. But the best anybody's getting is 1.5, which is, you know, not broadband, but I can understand where it came from, but that doesn't, without a universal fiber optic wire, I don't see much chances for that to provide, so it's good that.
I don't know the answer.
Neither do I.
That's kind of the beginning. I'm pleased that she was willing to come and talk about, she's talked to other towns. She mentioned Lyme, New Hampshire. She didn't really go into all of them or whatever, but she was saying that it isn't just rural access, it's also, as you say, the strength that people are getting. And she said, I'm waiting for when people will ask for an abatement at their town because they're not being provided with something they need to function. Like, I want to compare like an electricity 25 years ago, if they didn't, you know, I don't know, it was her comment. And she's also saying it's also difficult, and it does affect economic development for sure, but businesses that could be working here, that they can't be working here because they don't have enough power.
Excuse me, do Madison and Ossipee Sandwich have?
Madison had a contract when you all had your first one, and they insisted that they have all of their town connected. So we don't have.
No, not cable provision. Do they have economic development commissions that might be interested in? No.
But it's more, in fact, I said to her, do you want to talk to the selectmen and leaders of the town here, or do you want to talk to LRPC on a bigger regional way? And she said, it's probably best, since I'm talking about our need here, it's probably best to at least start, I don't mean start, but she's dealt with other issues with other groups before. So I guess it's probably a matter of whether you think that would be a good thing, and if you do think it would be a good thing, a suggested date or something, and so that we can let whoever you feel should be here, and let her know that we were inviting her to do
Does
so.
Darlene have her contact information?
And I haven't, yeah.
So it probably depends upon her.
Well, she said for me to let her know when we would like it, so that's what you have to talk to each other about maybe.
Questions or comments for tonight's?
Do you wanna get a date now?
Well, I see we've got
We
gentlemen
have
in the
people
hall.
here
right
for
now, so-
Waiting, yeah.
We're running behind again because we started early.
Maybe after.
Friends?
The doors were delivered and installed today, but
I think they look good.
you like the dark
Yeah, I
color?
do. I like it. I mean, it's me, but.
I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Did you like it?
I like the entry door,
I was gonna say, I don't like the black doors.
but the folks, I don't have much eye for color, but when I went down there, Melanie and Cassie described what they expected to get and which was pointed out, which sounds to me like a pretty different color than what was
Yeah,
there.
I mean, it's not the same color as the front door.
Right.
No, it was
So they were quoted dark brown,
Yeah.
bronze,
No,
and they got
that's,
black.
that's black. It's
Well,
definitely,
and-
That's black.
And I think what the other thing is that gray panel in it.
Yeah.
We didn't expect that, so
I don't even know what that is.
I don't either.
It's some kind of an aluminum thing is what he told me.
So you're gonna contact them about.
And I'll just ask them. The other question we have about it is, the keys. Who gets the keys?
Yeah, how do we deal with the keys?
Chief gets the, Chief Coco gets the key.
Key, and you guys want one here, right?
Darlene gets a key.
Kim gets a key?
Kim gets a key because of this thing.
Okay.
And I would think there it ends. Are you gonna have people who are assigned a key for their thing, or one of the friends
I
has to?
think I would like to open the doors, and just to keep track of it for a while, if that's
Sure.
up to you guys, where I'm writing town here.
No, I think
And
it's
see
great.
what
Yeah.
we need, and then if we can come up with something else later, that's fine too. But I just wanna see how it goes, like, you know,
I don't think anybody else has stuff stored there besides Kim.
there's nothing there now, right?
No,
It looks really good, I gotta tell you.
doesn't, the basement stairs
Oh,
are
man,
done.
everything looks fantastic.
The kitchen's almost done. So, and the doors, you know, the outside door looks really good. I do
Yeah.
like that. The other thing, we met with Gary Jones the other day, and he has offered, the last rainstorm, the rain came down and washed out part of the basement wall, and water was coming right in at
The
the end.
foundation.
Right, at the end of the emergency exit. And he has offered to come for free and dig it out, put some stones back in and fix it so there isn't a gaping hole there.
It's right
Free
where
is
that, the septic
Well,
pipe
that's what
came out.
everybody says.
Yeah, yeah. He
So
wants
I'll-
to start there, so.
Yeah.
How can you beat free?
It's free, it's for
Good for
me.
the taxpayers, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
he said that he knew that we had been putting in a lot of time and he wanted to contribute.
That's great,
Very nice.
if you're telling
So,
me.
and
he's
he
very
just,
good at
he
what he
said,
Yes, he's
you
very
know,
good.
we needed your permission before he was.
Yeah.
Tell them that we really appreciate it.
We'll look forward to what happens with your
Yeah.
doors.
Barbara and I did put a tarp up for this rain and it's nice and bone dry under there, we looked, so. The other question we had was, at the last meeting, we talked about ordering a dehumidifier, and after a lot of research on the internet, dehumidifiers, there's a lot of different ones. And I called Aaron Snell, the owner of Service Master, and asked his opinion, what does the townhouse need? And he made a recommendation, and I turned it into Darlene last Friday, for you guys to look at. And it's like 1883 or 1888 for it.
I think it's 1880. Is there a motion to?
Make a motion, we go ahead and order from John Don the
It's
air
R175.
conditioner Phoenix R175 for $1,880.
I'm sitting right next to him and he said dehumidifier.
Dehumidifier. Did I say
That's 'cause
dehumidifier?
Yes, of course, do now. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
And they will deliver it for.
Perfect.
Freeze.
Bring it good.
The other thing, there is some water in the basement now, but we did figure out, Barbara and I came in and got some information from Kathy, and I gave you a copy of the budget and what was remaining, and I kind of subtracted different things out of it for the remaining, for the water, electricity, heat, and stuff for the rest of the year, and it was like 27,000 roughly, but I didn't deduct the order of the paper stuff that we just got. That was the only thing that's outstanding. So,
And we still have to do the foundation and stuff, but Gary's just doing that spot at the moment, but we have another 2 or 3 spots that need to be taken care of
Plus the door in the basement.
right.
in the door, yeah.
Could you possibly get some rough numbers for that from him so it could go to the CIP?
I tried.
We'll ask him. I think
Just so we can put it in the CIP, it might not get done this year that we're in, but
Well-
we can put it in the CIP for future years.
We took it a step further too. we contacted Danny Walker and Mike Frank and have asked to do a full estimate of what really, because Danny worked for John Roberts for 20 years, so that's his forte too. So hopefully that'll come in for the next thing, and then you'll have something to guide with. Because I said, I need prices, Danny, get me the prices of what.
So at least we can get something in the CIP for future
Yep,
years, so.
yeah, yeah.
The only other question we have is, the policy and the rental fee.
Working on it.
Okay. And then I'm gonna let Barbara talk about the barnstormers.
Should I show them this?
We got people
Yeah,
waiting
we,
still,
can
so.
we interrupt for just a moment?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Rice, sorry to keep you waiting, thanks for your patience. Mr. Charbonneau.
You ready for us?
Yeah.
Just
How you doing, Art?
getting outside.
Trust everyone knows Art Charbonneau and all that, regional manager for the most important half of the state, and Mr. Phil Price from Parks and Recreation. Thank you very much. The reason why we're so far behind is because we started early.
Okay.
Okay. So, thanks for reaching out. I apologize for not being able to commit to tonight. I'm on our zoning board, and we're short members, and so if we have an application and I'm not there, they can't take any action, and so we all have to make it. So I didn't find out till yesterday that it had been canceled, because I'm not sure what the chair's been up to lately, so. But I'm glad this worked out, because of course we talked last fall about getting, how many days we're into summer now? We're in, what, a week now? So we talked about getting together in the spring, but early summer, so here we are. So I think we're planning on doing things pretty much the same as we did last year. We're not putting a gate up. We aren't going to allow moorings on the, are not allowing moorings. We need to ensure that both the residents and other visitors have access to get onto the lake with their boats. And I understand from conversations we just had and I've had with Art, we do have a little problem there with people thinking that it's a beach and blocking access, and so we got to figure out how to deal with that with our own staff, or you know, we're working on some other things I'll talk about in a minute. You know, we continue to be concerned about people, you know, stealing their way into the park and not being willing to pay. That's not your issue at all, that's ours, and at some point we'll have to commit to doing something there. But our biggest concern, of course, is the safety of the campers at night and the access that people have down the road to go do things that are illegal, and on the noise side, I think that's our issue. But if there's, you know, illicit behavior going on, you know, we've got to figure out a way to bring in some law enforcement. I've been working on with our chief of forest protection, with our chief, he was chief of forest protection when I was director. Our director of forests and lands, they just are bringing on 3 new forest rangers, and so hopefully we're going to be able to get our deputy forest ranger program up and running, so that they'll be able to swing by our campgrounds and also deal with other, in particular, but also deal with, we have some issues with dogs and stuff down on the beaches. So so that we're trying to get going. I don't know that we'll have much going on this summer with that, but I told them if you don't do something, you know, we've got to do something ourselves within parks, because we need to protect our visitors and the experience of our visitors. So I think we're that's probably the big one, and that's probably the area that we hope that you might be able to help us with the most. I know you have, we sent you the agreement to be able to enforce our rules. That's not an obligation. That is a that's not an obligation. It gives you the opportunity to, you know, get somebody on multiple counts of multiple things, and the town keeps all the fines. I worked on changing the legislation, so that was the case a couple of years ago. But that would be one area. We do have and Art can speak to it, we do have a night watchman, but in today's world, we have to be very careful about people that aren't equipped and trained adequately, you know, fully in law enforcement, because some people are just really crazy. So we don't want that person to be in a dangerous situation. I think they have a good enough sense to know when to back out. But they're gonna need somebody to call if they see a situation that's, you know, that's just wrong and needs to be fixed. So, other than that, I think, swimming, presents if people are swimming off the boat launch, that presents a problem for us, because when we have lifeguards there, if they're in the chair, they're responsible for the people within the swim lines. And, you know, and those people are paying day use fees, so we have a very high duty of care for them. If they're paying parking fees, they don't, that's just the way it works, but they're paying a day use fee, so we're responsible for them, for their safety, much more so than if they're paying parking fees. So if we have somebody that gets in trouble over at the boat launch in the water, or any other part of the lake, in that matter, and they have to come off post to go deal with that, and something happens within the swim lines, you know, it's just not a good situation. So, that's the only other real area of concern we have. I think you guys plowed over the winter down to we had offered last fall, I think the Trails Bureau was gonna help us as necessary. I wasn't sure who was doing it. You guys picked up and did it, so I appreciate your willingness to take that on, because you probably have some bigger trucks than we have, and providing that access to the fishermen was for the ice fishermen was great, and hopefully they had a good season. So no other major things going on, Art?
No, not at this time.
So
Just the swimming right now.
just the swimming.
Yeah, the swimming started this season, but other than that, it's been pretty quiet down there.
Yeah, and I think we were talking at some point we would like to, you know, continue to work with you, and we'll make some improvements there. You know, once we sort of all agree on a course of, you know, continuing our course of action, so that it looks better, and maybe do some things to sort of eliminate some of the things we don't want happening. But we have found that when we have things that people's behavior is bad on one of our park sites and we fix it up, it turns things around. So, you know, putting up signage, showing a presence there, you know, showing a formal presence there that somebody's, you know, so they can see that somebody's taking care of this place and watching it. And doing that a little more, as opposed to making it look like some road that leads off to somewhere where we can do whatever we want. So that's that would be our next step, but continue to maintain the hiking, the access to the lake. So I'd be interested in your thoughts and ideas, and, you know, just confirm if that all makes sense for this season.
You made a comment about parking fees versus day use fees. Could you explain the two differences?
Well, like at the Seacoast beaches, we don't charge day use fees as much as I would like to, because we'd be able to collect fees on 100,000 people on Hampton Beach, because our duty of care is higher. In other words, if something happens, you're paying for parking. You're not paying a day use fee. So you're just paying for a parking spot like you are in Concord or Portsmouth or anywhere else. And the city of Concord and Portsmouth doesn't have responsibility for you while you're there, and we don't when you're in Hampton. You could be going on the beach, or you could be parking and going across to the fried dough place or wherever you want to go. So we don't have that responsibility. But when you pay a day use fee as a person, the rules are different, and you have a higher duty of care.
But I guess my follow-up question on that is, so here there is no parking fee, there is only day use fee.
There's only a day use fee,
No
correct?
parking fee.
Yeah.
When did that change? Because when you pull up to the gate, they always told you were paying for parking, not for individual usage.
No, at White Lake.
Yeah, at White Lake, last year, pulled up. It wasn't called a day use fee, it was called a parking fee. So it's a day use fee, I'm just trying to get terminology down, so it's a day use fee?
It's a day use fee. Yeah,
Okay.
and of course, you know, the staff, I'm not sure how old the person was that was in there and how long they'd worked for us, but, you're welcome to correct them the next time they go through,
Okay,
so,
no.
and it should say, and it says that on our website and, on the fee board, so.
Yeah, I didn't think there was a parking fee here, I thought there was a day use.
Yeah.
You're
It's
paying
nice to know
per
that-
person, I mean, is that correct, right?
Yeah.
I mean, paying per person,
Yeah.
so that would make more sense than
Day
that
use
way.
per person.
Day use versus paying per vehicle, which would be parking.
Exactly.
And if they have the park license plate,
Yeah,
what does that get?
it gets the whole vehicle in for free. So we've gone from when I started, we had, I think, less than 2,000 plates, and I think we may be over 8,000 now, over 5 or 6 years, so seen a lot of them on the road. And it's really great.
That's every state park besides Hampton.
Well, it's all, so it would get you into White Lake, it would get you into Wellington, Sunapee, you know, all our beach parks, Monadnock, all of our inland parks. The only parks it doesn't get you into parking at, it'll get you into the parking lots at Wallace Sands and South Beach. In the off-season, we just changed the legislation last year, I think it was last year or the year before, I can't remember, to allow it to be used in the off-season at Hampton Beach for the meters. So it used to be not allowed for the meters, but now, like before June 15th and after September 15th, you can use your license plate to park there as well. So it's been very, very, very successful and provides a stable source of income for us, which is important because we only charge at half our sites, and of those only half make money, and we're self-funded. So, you know, it's really critical for us.
Have you noticed this year that there's been an increase or a decrease in the illicit activity on Irene's Way?
It's been flat right now because the season hasn't really kicked in. And we don't have night watch on duty prior to Father's Day weekend anyway, other than the weekend of Memorial Day, so it hasn't really come up as an issue.
So you haven't seen an issue there this year?
No, I mean, every once in a while I might drive down there and just see what's going on, and everything looks fine. Doesn't mean that not.
No, I realize that, I'm just wondering if there
Yeah, but
was
it's not
more
affecting
issues
the
this
park
week.
or, you know, campers or anybody that's gonna, you know. Now we're in July and August are when things, you know, we have 200 campsites, so there's a lot of people around, and then you add noise after quiet time somewhere, and that's where it might become an issue. A lot of people try to come onto the beach after hours from that direction, you know, so we just
I'm pleased that there's no restriction or attempt to lock out town residents, the kayakers and the canoers and the fishing boats and the little Johnson Seahorses 10, that, you know, folks are really good about that. And there's some bigger boats that we've seen that are very, you know, very good about headway speed and keeping the place clean and no bait left on the beach, and so continued, and sometimes very early in the morning and sometimes very late at night. You know, when the Horn Pub fishing, and I don't know why I go out fishing, but it's good that our residents can, anything you have to clean with a pair of pliers, I have doubts about, but it's, you know, that's a huge issue for us. And I don't want to speak for my brothers and sister, but it seems to me that in the course of conversation and some correspondence that we prepared, that I don't think we're okay with the DOT's correction. We think that's an error. We think it probably won't stand when challenged, and we're looking to do something about that, or at least ask for some help to rectify what we think is not so good.
Okay, well, that's
Sure.
entirely up to you.
Absolutely,
and,
yeah.
You've got to do what you think is right, and we certainly understand that, so. We were glad to present the information we had and the logic behind it, and we shared all of our information with you so that you could look at it, and of course, you're welcome to provide us with any information to the contrary. Yeah, we certainly can respect that decision.
And I think some of the problems that you talked about at Irene's Way have been long-standing. I think that everybody who's ever worked your beach for even a chunk of the summer, lifeguards have taken that rescue board out of the kayak or whatever to assist somebody substantially towards that 40-foot hole, which I believe is more than 40 feet, closer to 55. That on the, you know, at the. You're familiar with that?
On the far side of the lake you're talking about?
I'm sorry?
No, the crater in the middle.
It's out in the middle.
I know we have.
It's
a
close
deep-
to the middle.
one deep
There's a,
spot, yeah.
there's a,
Cool.
right, there's a valley
Wow.
over on the northwest
Yeah.
side, and there's a hole
Right.
in, pretty much in the middle of the lake, and folks have, I guess everybody who's ever worked there has paddled out or, or taken a, when you had the rowboats for them,
Yeah.
and that's a, it's not, there are no step-offs there, but, you know, if you're small and, you know, you get a few feet off that beach, maybe not, but in June or when the before the lake
Yeah.
level settles, it can be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I imagine it is.
And we not only sympathize with you, but understand that as a matter of health and safety, we're all working on that. I think that two of us at least can, well, you know, the things that have been tried about posting it and sending somebody over there and making it a.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you all know it just as well, because you've been there for years yourself.
It's just, you know, very tempting for folks, and it's, you know, and as you say, your staff has been taught that the duty for people who are doing safety is within those buoy lines.
That always transcends
Yeah.
to everywhere.
On the other hand,
Yeah. Still does.
any young person with, you know, who's responsible is not gonna let something happen out of, you know.
Because it's on the other side of the line. You're not
Yeah,
gonna say
right,
no.
that's the position it puts us in.
Correct.
And then we find, you know, and then, I don't know, things are just different the way seems like people nowadays are less willing to take responsibility for their own decisions and behavior, and so that's created a different environment for us to work in too, so.
But I think our goal, you know, our goals are not dissimilar to yours in Irene's Way and the behavior that goes on in Irene's Way. We don't want that to be an illicit spot continually either, because it doesn't do anybody any good. And I think our chief of police is, you know, mindful of that and swings in and tries to do what he can to keep it down. You can't catch everybody all the time. I mean, you'd have to post somebody there 24/7 to catch everybody, but he's, you know, diligent in trying to get in and check on it.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate that. And what we have found is that you don't have to. I mean, there's whole websites set up for illicit behavior,
Right.
like swinging off the bridge at Livermore Falls, which is crazy and whatever. So, but as long as the word doesn't get out that this is a go-to place if you want to do these sorts of things, because the communication is absolutely instantaneous. So if that gets shut down, then it's sort of the occasional, you know,
Person that didn't know
that
anything about
didn't, you know, wasn't connected, that knew that you're not gonna, and eventually they'll get picked up. But once you get that momentum onto those sites, it really creates a problem.
The same thing with those sites though, is they also share information that there is a police presence, so, you know, we've had
Exactly.
this issue at another body of water in town, and a good amount of police presence, you know, I think has curbed a lot of that, for sure, and that issue seems to have diminished in some ways, so, and that is because those same websites will also go on and publish, hey, there's police presence there periodically and whatever, you know, so.
Yeah.
They work against us, but they also will help us in some ways.
Yeah, so that is a big help, we appreciate that, and you can decide if you wanna enter into an agreement, we have several towns, we have a great, like Rye, where all kinds of stuff happens at Jeunesse and Odeon and those, we have an agreement with them, and I think with Campton and with Holderness and a few other towns where there tends to be more things going on. You can decide if you want to do that, it's up to you, but we do appreciate you swinging in there, and hopefully the night watchman won't have a lot to report, but you never know.
I think over the years, there's been a good collaboration with the park and us, you know, and some of that night watchman and stuff like that. You know, they generally will try to make first dibs at a situation. If they can't resolve it or feel it's above their head, they've had no problem in calling us or other agencies available to come and assist with it, you know, and we've dealt with it accordingly. The only thing I keep going back to, and the director had mentioned before, and I just talked about it briefly outside, but I'm all for advocating the cleaning it up, making it look nice appearance thing, because it does deter, you know, this type of behavior. If it looks like it's maintained and is taken care of and there's a presence, you know, I would really promote something like that. That being said, if there's a question of ownership, then, you know, it's who's paying for it,
Right.
you know. So I hate to see the fact that there's a question of ownership prohibit, you know, moving forward with something like that, you know, with a project like that, because it would help tremendously. Just as he had said, I mean, if it looks like an old road that nobody goes down, then you're gonna have the behavior that you have, the illegal behavior. But if it looks maintained, well kept, and taken care of, then, you know, it promotes a better presence. The other issue I have is the beaching on that boat launch. And, you know, that's more concerning to me just as a resident. I mean, I've gone down there, and there's no way you're gonna launch a boat with everybody in their lawn chairs up to the water. And you know we're gonna end up having a dispute between said parties who wanna launch a boat and those that are, you know, beaching there. I've known some of the people that are down there, they're not residents of town either. You know, so it's a problem, and it will be a problem this summer, I guarantee you. I mean, and you won't, good luck getting anything on a boat trailer down there, you know, because there'd be too many cars to even turn around. Never mind just to be able to squeeze down the road. And then you got everybody laying out on there like it's a beach. So, it will be a problem, I guarantee that.
And are we missing our sign at the end of the road?
It was taken down.
The road sign?
Yeah. I think that sign's gone.
Well, I thought that was taken down 2 years ago.
The
When
Irene's
dis-
Ways?
When the dispute first came up, I thought we were requested to take the sign down as a, yeah.
We just have it, it just says no outlet or.
Right.
The sign says Irene's Way on it's gone too.
Yeah, I think that was, if I go back through the tapes, I think that was done a couple of years ago when the dispute came up about the road, that it wasn't called Irene's Way, because it wasn't a town road.
I don't remember ever seeing a sign that said Irene.
Oh, yeah.
It was there.
I'll go
There
back
was
through
a
the
sign.
tapes. I
What?
think it was requested to be taken down.
Yeah.
Under
Pretty
911, we
soon
needed to
after.
name the road because it was
Right, and we
emergency.
talked about that.
Somebody
and
wanted to
there
know
was-
where
there
they're
was
drowning,
no-
they're on Irene's Way.
There's no phone line there, so 911 wants an address if you have a phone, but there's nothing down there, it's just a dead end. So at that point, we didn't put a road sign there, that's what I thought. And that's what we had talked about when I came
I'll go back,
here
I
to
think it
talk
was
about
2
that.
years ago. I think if you go back in the minutes, it was requested that it be pulled down when there was a question about whose road it belonged to, because it wasn't named through DOT as Irene's Way.
I thought that happened
Well, it
fairly
might be,
soon after the funeral.
well,
that
it
sign
may
went
may
up.
have happened longer. I'm saying it's been at least 2 years that sign hasn't been up there,
Well,
if not
we
longer.
named the road Irene's Way, but it has, I mean, I am getting old too, and I don't remember things, but I don't ever remember seeing a sign that said Irene's Way. And then there was a conversation about putting a sign there, and I had suggested we make it like a no outlet sign so that we didn't say, oh, this is a street, so now it's named as Irene's Way. Where are we gonna go? Where do we end up here? It's a dead end. It's not something that we want to attract people to go down as a roadway to.
I fully agree
To the
with
general
that, but I
public.
mean, and, you know, that no outlet will keep some people, keeps good people out. But
Yeah.
also, no outlet will let some other people go down,
Yeah.
you know, so I mean,
It's
it's
a
a
catch-22.
double-edged sword there, but
Do
I,
we just put a sign up that says boat launch? You know, and then it's clear what it's supposed to be used for?
Right.
well,
But people go down there to park to go hiking around the
Right.
lake and everything else.
Well, we have talked long-term, once, you know, at some point it'll be the right time, about putting additional parking area in there for hikers. And so that they can go, you know, possibly depending on permitting, like a pit toilet, so, you know, 'cause- so, you know, and making some improvements to that area so people have better access to the,
But Art knows,
that-
if you go down with a full-size cab and a half pickup and a boat trailer,
Yeah. you're not-
there ain't nobody
you're
else
not
coming
going
down there
anywhere.
because that's taken up with,
If there's 2 or 3 cars there, then you're done.
and even if one truck comes down with a regular, you know,
Mhm.
trailer, boat trailer and a cab and a half,
Yeah.
you've parked the entire side, so.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying, is we figure out how to make it so it is accessible for at least a few boats to get in there and out of there, and then, you know, make it clear it's boat, you know, and we check our rules, but, and this would require land outside the right of way, obviously, but, you know, car top boat only, or boat, car, you know,
right.
trailer, and so, you know, and hiker, and so we have the air, you know, we have an area designated so that people know they have a place to park if there's enough spots there, and we don't have people just parking there and.
I've been curious about, ever since we started in 16 or 17, about that car truck carrier.
Yeah, because that's listed, if you go pull up White Lake, it's listed as a car top carrier only.
Well, you can't really go that far into the lake. I mean, you'd have to drive halfway in the lake for the.
To get a boat off the trailer or carry it.
I've
It
seen
would
people
be-
do it though.
Oh, yes, they do.
But it's not, it's,
It's very shallow there, so.
it's very shallow, and the boat trailer is,
I mean, I've
used to
seen
getting
a few
very wet.
motorboats on there, and, you know, we get a lot of complaints when they do, but it's rare.
except, you know, I'm thinking of that,
Fish and game will go out there.
the fellow from Maine, who, the veteran with the early morning fishing boat that always come in with a, you know,
Small.
always a limit, and he's the guy that built the stairway for his buddy, is also a wounded veteran that got T-boned on the road, and, you know, so he can get his buddy into the boat and get his buddy out of the boat. And that's a sizable boat with a sizable engine. And White Lake, I probably shouldn't confess, which all of us think is a no-wake lake, is not.
I know that, but I don't
It's,
tell people.
I mean, you can put a Donzi on that and rip it up, but
Right.
the quality of people that come there don't do that. What am I
You know, we
doing?
can have, you know, up to 20 boats on the lake, you know, kayaks, canoes, paddle boats, and if somebody's
Sure.
driven around there with a motorboat, that, it's not gonna be a pretty picture.
Right. And- But, the car top, you know, you can get a Hobie 16 on a car top if you want, but,
Yeah.
but, there are other folks who legitimately travel pretty long ways to use that, and they've always been, well, you know better than I do, they've always been very respectful and very concerned about other folks, and
Right.
would assist somebody
It's
in the water where they
Rare
should have
that we
been.
have a problem with boats.
So I'm curious as to what you,
But you certainly wouldn't want a lot of people thinking that that's, you can put a motorboat on that
Right.
lake because it would become a disaster real quick.
What happened to the no swimming sign?
it goes in, I believe it goes in every year, it gets pounded in, and, you know, people swim around.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that that's been put out
I don't
since
think
your
it has.
tenure there.
I didn't see it in a
Recently,
I was
it's kind of
happy.
old, so we do have it. We had one old one that we put between the buoys and the boat rental area. I don't know that I've seen the second one out, and I know you used to put one there.
And it's not in the sign is not in a road blocker, I was down there with Cam to put it in.
Yeah,
Didn't see it, but it might be in your boathouse.
it might very well.
All it takes is a
We can make a
sledge.
new one.
Good point.
Yeah,
So do we wanna put a no swimming sign up there?
I mean, I think that's appropriate
Okay.
for the area. Right,
I think the one by your bathhouse says no swimming in this area.
yeah,
Is there,
which is, I think, the same sign as what was down the other end.
is there anything we wanna, is there anything we can do short-term to improve the access of for people that wanna launch their boat? You know, given that folks are sitting there in their chairs halfway in the water?
Well, I like the idea of making it look like it's a roadway, but the thing is, if you start blocking the area where you're gonna pull in and turn, which is where they're parked, you know, unless we create more parking or more area to pull into, that's gonna be a tough cookie to pull off.
I don't know whether a sign just simply stating that this is a public boat launch. Please be respectful of people trying to launch their boats, you know, not, you can't lay down here or anything, but just give them the idea that they're gonna have to move.
Well, like
Yeah,
you
and I
said,
think
put up the
that's
no
a-
swimming sign
Yeah.
that say, public boat
Yeah.
launch, no swimming allowed.
We
Yeah.
do need proper signage.
You know, which would help,
That's
because
not-
that gives people the direction, and, you know, there are gonna be some people that are always gonna challenge the rules and regulations.
Yeah.
That's why we have the police department.
Well, I mean, they're gonna say, just as he's explaining, they're gonna sit there in their chair with their feet in the water. It says, well, no swimming allowed, and it's a boat launch, so I'm just sitting here with the feet in the water.
But you've.
But we have
One thing, if you count them out.
we have rules specifically, I was just looking at one the other day, that would prohibit somebody from blocking somebody to get their boat into the water. And it could be, I don't know, $25 fine, could be $100 fine, but certainly you have the authority to do that. But I think, I mean, I like the
I'd
idea.
rather not go to the, we're gonna find you, I'd rather go to the, how can we gently move to the side?
Well, no, but ultimately you've gotta have that there, cause some people, we know will just say, well, what, you know, how can you tell me, you don't have the authority to tell me this. But I do like the concept, you know, I've been thinking about, we ought to communicate that that's what that is, it's a boat launch. It's not a dead-end road on a lake that you do whatever you want, it's a boat launch, you know, so, and I think that's what I mean, your access, you know, we had a conversation a couple of meetings ago about, we wanted access early in the morning for fishermen, you know, late in the day for fishermen, so, that's what it is, and that's what we want it to be, is a boat launch. So, I think putting something up there, both at the boat launch and out at the main road, I would suggest, so when people look at they can see that it's a boat launch, and before they even get there, so maybe after the second time that they're going in, they figured out, oh, you know, this isn't a beach, it's a boat launch.
Put the word small boat launch.
Yeah, well, that's sort of what the car top meant, and we'll leave it up to folks to,
You know, I mean.
Yeah.
it's self-limiting,
They get a photo out
and,
there with a big motor, and they earned it.
yeah, so,
Sounds like it's gonna be a happy summer for our folks who are avid fans of White Lake and appreciated all the staff and the managers and I guess all of them, going all the way back,
Yeah.
who have worked well with our program, the swim program, which is premier.
right, yeah,
And within 50 miles, there's no comparison whatsoever in terms of safety and training for kids. And so,
Do you have any extra lifeguards that we could probably use? We do have a shortage.
I wish I did.
FYI.
Although Greg says he has a young man from
Yeah.
Albany, New York
Yeah.
area who can,
We're waiting for a couple people to be certified, it's so late, huge
Yeah.
problem in health this season.
right.
With the way the unemployment level is so low.
it's every,
Yeah,
and
it's
we're,
not just here.
we're trying to figure out how to restructure our park system and our programs and stuff so that we can deal with the lack of, the difficulty getting staff, so,
I have some pretty strong feelings about the requirements for lifeguard staff, and I'll go wind up.
Okay, you can do that, sir. Do you want more requirements or less?
You know, I lived in Lancaster in the 60s, and there was a state test. There were no inland lifeguards, and
Yeah.
it was a test for the surf, your surf beaches. And so I could pass that, you know, and I was gonna do that when my wife said, by the way, we moving to parts unknown, and so I never took the test, but it was a state proprietary test, which I would think would be a good idea, because the standard training has nothing whatsoever to do with any of the facilities that the state runs now.
Yeah, well, we try to have lakefront, waterfront rather than poolfront,
Absolutely,
and
you've
it's
been
totally
great about
different.
that, but that
And
program has,
maybe you could teach some, because we could sure could use it.
We are looking, we
tried.
what is it, and I can't remember it, we don't use, for our Hampton Beach lifeguards, we do not use Red Cross
No.
training. We use a US
LA.
LA.
Overall,
Yeah, so we use that, and I've been talking to our captain down there about getting an inland water training and that we'll provide to kids. Because the other thing we have is that they've got to come up with a couple $100 to do the training themselves, and this way we would, is it 400?
And then when you take waterfront, add another $275, so you're talking $675 per kid. to
Yeah,
get
so,
that.
so we would just take care of that, figure out a way to keep them from leaving immediately after they're trained, and then put them on. But that's been in the, that's something we've been talking about now for a couple of years, to try to get that program up and running. That'll help us long-term. Or we could go the Pennsylvania route, which is they don't provide lifeguards. Everybody's on their
I
own.
think that's a dereliction.
And I feel the same way.
I have mixed feelings. Talk about people taking responsibility for themselves.
Well,
There's a mix there.
yeah,
Already.
there is. So,
Okay, we're not talking beaches anymore.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
okay,
Thank
all right.
you for coming.
Yep, nice
Yep,
to see you.
thank you. Good to see you. Have a good summer.
My pleasure.
Feel free to contact me again.
Thank you.
Yep.
You should come by more often.
I got,
Very nice to meet you.
I got the,
Jessica and Josh.
Good, they're lifeguard.
Oh, they are?
They're still instructors.
Always good seeing you.
All right.
Hey, good seeing you
See you
again.
again. Have a good summer.
Thank you very much.
See you around. Yep, thanks for staying.
I know you
thank you very much.
I just got in.
problem.
Make sure we got it.
All right, see you later.
Thank you.
Yeah,
very
it's a
much.
real important facility to a lot of people. Absolutely. Thank you for your letter.
Okay, well, I don't know that there's a whole lot to be said. I was reading through the minutes, and it appeared that the RSA, there was some discrepancy in terms especially of approving the minutes of the non-public sessions, and I emailed back and forth with Darlene a couple of times, and she suggested that I get on the agenda and that I provide the information that I did in the letter. So other than meeting the requirements of the RSA, which it appears that at least the most recent meetings has been, the only other thing that I wanted to bring up was posting unsealed non-public minutes, because I'm not sure what the thinking is, but if they're not sealed, they should be available from my point of view anyway. I don't know what the rationale would be to not post them.
About the non-public minutes and sealing them, and Darlene has talked to our attorney and to NHMA, Municipal Association, and a bunch of us went to, or some of us went to a standalone training in Concord, maybe in the winter, I forget when, and have the latest book. And all of those resources tell us that we have to, if we're going to seal a meeting, the minutes, we have to do it we can do it in the non-public session, but we have to come out and announce that that was a vote taken to seal the minutes, and it's a roll call vote. Or it doesn't stipulate what meeting we have to seal them in. It just stipulates that if we're going to do it, we can do it in non-public and then come out of non-public, and at that time,
But the minutes since April 17th, 2017, the minutes don't, of the public sessions, they don't reflect that for the most part. Only the last two meetings appear to have been done correctly, and the problem is you're leaving yourself open for somebody rightfully being able to say, hey, those minutes aren't sealed. There's numerous minutes that, as of the public record, as of today, have not been sealed that you probably want sealed.
We should review those.
You
because
should.
Most of our minutes dating back since at least, I'm sorry,
So we don't have a lot of sealed minutes.
we tend not to seal them because of the way they're written, unless we think it could potentially cast aspersions on someone. Some of those were sealed because they were a medical issue, and my sister pointed out that it doesn't have to stipulate, the minute should not stipulate what the particular situation is, and saying it was a medical issue. The difficulty with that, and maybe I made the motion to go back and seal one of them, is that the minutes also say who was at the meeting, and frequently it's the board, the town administrator, and the person who is discussing that. So a lot of those that should have been sealed are my error, because I didn't pick up on the fact. I thought that the fact that it was a medical issue was good enough, and so.
So
but
you should review those, because as of now, the
Right.
public has the right to request them, and you
That's
have to
correct.
provide them.
Which,
Right.
and so, you're not, you've taken the time, energy, and effort to work hard on this and to gain the knowledge, and he's worked hard on getting it passed. There's some expertise in the room,
Sure.
and at least some knowledge on this side of the table too, and probably there. But we tried to be careful about that. We've tried to reduce the number of non-public sessions. We've tried to be pretty open and honest about what we're doing, but we're also very leery to do something that would cast aspersions on.
Absolutely not,
Right.
but if there are unsealed, once the dust settles and you
Right.
seal all the minutes that need to be sealed,
Right.
after that, as you did with the minutes from, I think it's 5/17, if they're unsealed, what I'm asking is, what I'm kind of imploring is post them, because they're public. There's no reason not to.
So are the minutes, and the minutes of our
No,
regular meeting minutes usually include that there was a non-public, although the minutes aren't there, and anyone can do it off a phone call or a note or an email, and most of those folks want them electronically, and the town will ask you to show up for the paper or send them email them if people want to.
But why not, if they're unsealed, why not put them with the other minutes? It used to happen. If you go back and look at the minutes in, I think, up through April of 2017, they were being posted.
It only happened for a very short time, and then the board changed their mind.
But why?
Wasn't here.
We weren't on board.
Well, why now? Why not post unsealed,
I agree.
non-public minutes? They're
Reading
public.
minutes, and they say, non-public session, vote to go in. And came out, you have no idea what it was all about. And if those minutes were available, if they weren't sealed, you could read it. You wouldn't have to go, oh, I think I'll call them up, oh,
Right.
you know.
And pester the
it
staff.
takes staff time.
Send emails and then,
If they're sealed, you'd know they were sealed, so you wouldn't, no reason to call, they're sealed minutes, you're not gonna get anything, so.
Right.
It
Selfishly,
stays in the meeting.
before I'll move 2 weeks later to seal minutes, I'll ask Darlene, have there been any requests to see those minutes? And if Darlene says, no, nobody's asked, that I get to correct an oversight of somebody's, if she says yes, that somebody requested those minutes.
I asked to see unsealed minutes that did not relate to personnel matters,
Sure,
because those I don't have any
of course.
interest in, and they should be sealed. But if there are other, I'm looking at this year's worth of minutes, and most of them I can't tell. So I'm asking, so other than the personnel-related ones, if there are unsealed minutes, I would like to see them. I would like to see them on the website, so everybody could see them, but, because they're
Seems to me
public.
like it's an easy fix.
Seems like,
When it
yeah.
stopped,
I
I
don't know
agree.
why it stopped. So I make a motion that we post the unsealed minutes on the website.
Second. Can we have a time period in discussion? Can we have a time period where we go back and check those minutes to make sure that none of them should have been sealed?
Let's talk about that. However, if anybody's requested those minutes,
They're
if
public
they've been,
anyway.
then it's too
Right,
late.
right.
And do you recall
I think he's got something.
purpose of
to
that?
say.
Of why we decided not to?
After 72 hours.
We decided not to do it because we didn't feel that it was necessary for somebody to say, if it was personnel, we weren't sealing them at the time, it was not a practice, that maybe somebody was reprimanded, and why did the whole world need to see that?
That should
And that
be
it was gonna be
sealed.
out, but they weren't, so that was the issue, they were not sealing as a rule on personnel, but.
I'm the one that will post them to the Tamworth Exchange. I go to the website and get them. And some of the non-public meeting minutes, even if it was personnel, it would just say personnel issue.
Well, and we were also
Right.
advised, that's not enough. You
Right.
need to have a little bit more
Right,
in your
but I mean,
minutes.
they were always there before, if they were sealed, when you, it might say, it would give the date, but it would say sealed, and there was nothing there, just so people knew which ones were sealed, so there wasn't any confusion. But they've always been there before, and it's never
On
been,
the non-public?
for years they were on there.
Yeah, they were.
It wasn't just,
I thought it was just that, when I,
And no offense, it's sort of late to seal any minutes that were discussed in 17 and
Oh,
early
right.
18
Yeah.
because the 72 hours is gone.
right.
72
Right.
hours is public.
right.
Well, but if nobody's requested it, it's not, because nobody's seen it.
Right, we can still seal those.
You probably want to at least.
The law is pretty clear on a 72-hour time period. If they're not sealed, if we
72
had another meeting in 72 hours, we could have sealed them. But it doesn't
Right.
say anything if anybody requested or not requested. It says either the minutes have to be sealed in a public meeting or they have to be made available to the public in 72 hours.
But if,
Mr. Chairman, can I comment on this?
yes,
Okay. Just for the record, my name is Ed Comeau, representative. I represent Brookfield, Wakefield, Ospey, and Effingham. I sued the county 3 years ago because I noticed that they said in a meeting that their minutes were not sealed. Then they tried to seal them after like 2 weeks. So I sued them, and I wanted those sealed minutes. And they went, I'm not going to say her name, but she came out and she redacted the names off of my 91A request, which were the minutes. And I said, you can't redact them because you should have sealed them a long time ago. You can't do that. Number two, I put in legislation to make it clearer so the public can see the minutes that are released on the website. Because people were doing it haphazardly. One town will do it for 1 week, and then they wouldn't do it for another 3 weeks. And even the meeting postings weren't even being done. So that had to be straightened out. So that flew through both houses and got passed. I don't know where, I keep hearing, Mr. Chairman, you say on camera that since no one requested them, therefore we don't have to release them.
no,
You said,
we can vote to seal them if there's been no request.
I don't know where that comes from, and you can't do that after 72 hours. That's the issue. You only have 72 hours after the meeting that was held to seal the minutes. That's why you should make sure at that meeting that you seal the minutes, and you have to seal them in the public eye. So there's a continuity between all your public meeting minutes. It should show you're entering into non-public, what the exemptions are. You go into non-public, you officially close the non-public meeting, and then you come into public. You come out of the non-public, you say why you seal them, or if they're not. And since you're consistently, or somewhat consistently, putting minutes on the website, all of those should be on the website. Now, I don't think there's anything nefarious going on here. I've been watching these meetings for a long time, so I don't think anybody's doing anything on purpose. But if you're just very careful going in and out of non-public, and then when they're not sealed, put them online, this conversation wouldn't happen. And then you would keep yourself clear for many lawsuits, because you don't want to get caught with employee information going out in the public. So that you have to guard. That's why that 72 hours is there. So you have time to say, oh, wait a minute, we have to go back and seal them before the 72-hour time clock runs out.
It's 72 hours that determines what meeting it's not whether they've been requested or not.
No, I really don't know where that came from.
Sounded reasonable to me.
But the reason why I've been on this 91A law for years.
Appreciate your help with it.
But it's usually not nefarious. The problem is, if it's not followed clearly, you can get the town in trouble and sued by people that you're defaming, if that's possible. But then you're also opening up, you might be honest politicians or honest selectmen. But what happens if somebody dishonest comes in? If you don't have a clear process that the town administrator can enforce, then you're going to lose control of it, and then later on you're going to have nefarious people that are actually in town using the improper sealing of minutes for their benefit. So I'm just saying, I don't think anything nefarious is going on, but you really need to get a handle on how you're doing your minutes.
The point well taken. You know, we can go to meetings and have in the area where a number of folks from a number of towns will say, oh, this right to know law is just a pain in the neck. I think it's phenomenal tool
Once you know
for democracy and
More people know, the less trouble you'll get in.
Sure.
Whether you like it or
And
not.
it's not,
it's
it
the
hasn't
law.
been consistent.
No, it hasn't.
On
We're
the
trying.
board, has not been consistent, so.
And my final comment on that is the county, it's been 7 years since, well, maybe 5 years since all those lawsuits, and lots of my own personal money. The county is doing a very, very, very good job at coming in and out of non-public and posting their meeting minutes, and it's a huge improvement.
I think we're pretty careful about in and out and what transpires and announcing the votes and the roll call of same. Actually, I believe that
It's not reflected in the public record.
No, he's saying going in and out. The sealing hasn't been so smooth. We're getting a handle on that now. The sealing of the minutes within
Seal
that
anything. That was
timeframe.
the problem.
Right, so now we're looking at stuff that needs to be
Oh, I
sealed.
did-
Anyway, we've got a motion on the board.
I'm sorry, there is just one final comment, is that the question has been, which may have to be addressed with the legislation, what are you supposed to do if you do make a mistake? If you can't seal them after 72 hours and that 72 hours has passed, what do you do? What we had to do up at the county is, I actually had to have the judge, and it's called in camera, the judge had to actually go through the minutes, and they redacted, they didn't, they actually just released them, because the judge looked at it and said, well, they shouldn't have made the mistake, and they released it, because of transparency. I'm just saying that is an issue, is what do you do if you make a mistake? Just be honest about it. Say we forgot to seal them, and ask, you have a paid membership to the New Hampshire Municipal Association,
Yes.
right? Ask them, what are we supposed to do now? And then you'll say, well, Ed Comeau is going to put legislation in to fix it. Because that's the one thing that's left.
You're saying they can't be sealed ex post facto after 72 hours?
That is correct.
Pat.
Just a question quick. For instance, I know that there have been people who have come in and said, I can't afford to pay the taxes, I can't, whatever, and ask for a break or something. And I guess I'm wondering, that's not a personnel issue as far as hiring or whatever, but I would think that that's the kind of thing that you tend to want to seal, but do you Does that fit any
Yeah,
criteria?
someone's reputation.
Someone's reputation.
Besides the
All right, then that's good.
And also that, that's, I think it might be case law where we were, a couple of years ago, when policy, maybe longer than that, the policy of this board was that any of those discussions had to be held in public, which was not the case. And
There's a motion on the table.
yeah, we are. I'm with you, only having public input on this, and it's, he knows the law better than me, maybe not better than you. Further discussion.
Darlene asked about a time frame. So we're agreeing that if we're gonna post them, they'll go back, how far is she going back to post non-public minutes that haven't been posted?
To when we stopped, I guess.
No, how
When
far?
did I stop?
What was, did you say, April 17?
April 17. Right.
So it was
April
after that new
17th
board,
of-
April 2017.
April 2017. but-
It changed after John Roberts
So
was
could
not on the
we
board.
say that we start posting them from January this year and we can go back and look at the minutes to,
I wouldn't even do that, to be honest. I mean.
Start to
is
the-
that,
I was gonna
is
say
that
start
a
from
memo
here on
with you?
out.
I mean,
Here,
you're,
but why not just go forward?
go forward
and
from here?
Start
Yeah,
to
just
the-
start right from here, start from
Second
scratch.
batch,
I don't know
Okay
if
with
anybody
you?
really
Fine
wants to
with
see
me.
those, they can come
You
back
don't
and
have
look
to
at
have
that.
it, yeah.
Right. From today's date forward.
Okay.
Further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you for your
Thank you.
time.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you for coming.
Public comment.
I was gonna say, didn't,
We
They
still
need to
had some
finish.
stuff
Yeah.
with.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
It was Barbara's turn.
I'm still watching votes, I'm like,
I just wanted to let you know that we did the barnstormers this past week. We need to invoice them. So I got from the last meeting that we're gonna do the $50 each day because unless you want me to hold off on invoicing them, but I've already talked with Dale a couple of times. Melanie and I have been down there constantly. They really use the townhouse. It was like from 9 o'clock in the morning or 9:15, 8 o'clock at night half the time, unless we had something else there. I didn't appreciate some of it, but I went and talked it out with Dale because I called her and she didn't get back to me. It was at one of our tables that was missing. The trash was there. Melanie and I went to the dump twice for these people out of the 7 days. There are things that they left for when they do their plays. Some of that wasn't gone. That should have been gone Sunday. And it was still there. Melanie and I moved their stuff downstairs that was left. That's when I called Dale and she never got back to me. I actually physically went over to see Dale and told her what I resulted because she wanted to know, and I says I wasn't thrilled about it because the bags were leaking and they were left there. We have to do better. I talked with your stage manager and told him they're supposed to be taking the trash out. Oh, you already, I says I did, but it did nothing because Melanie and I had to take it Wednesday. So
We took out 10 bags of trash.
yeah, so, I think for what they did to that townhouse and how long they kept it, I think we do need to charge them, I really do.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
and the floor, and the
floor was
stairs.
scratched, the stairs got dinged up with all their,
That floor is 10 years old already.
they left.
7 days, they each invoice for 7 days?
Well, she charged, no, she informed me that she wanted it from Monday at 9:15, all the way through Saturday, and Bob, the director, Bob Shea, thank you, said he wanted, they would be out by Saturday at 4. This was Monday and Tuesday, and some of their props and stuff was still downstairs, and the garbage was still downstairs. That's why I went directly down.
But they wanted it from Monday to Saturday, but the Saturday, they had gone in and taped the whole floor where this, where they
Before
outlined the
Monday.
stage. Sunday, they had brought props in, then Monday, the actors came in, and
So they had
then,
it for like a week and a half.
then just this Sunday, when they were supposed to be out,
Mhm.
Barbara and I went down, because we knew people were coming in Monday morning for exercise, and we removed the rest of the stuff from upstairs to downstairs.
Yeah, and we wanted to
Washed the
clean up the
floor.
floor and.
There was a lot of stuff spilt on the
So-
floor, and
I did say in my comment to Dale that, because a lot of it was, their drinks and stuff, I says, I'm talking to you, Dale, now, and I don't wanna be a jerk and say that we cannot have food and drink up here. So you and I have to work together, Dale, and I says, we need to pass it along to your director, because I told him about the trash and he said he'd come see you. And he didn't, from what she understands, so, we can do that eventually if they don't, because they're gonna be back in July 30th, so.
well, and the other thing they did was, they called Barbara and asked to use a table downstairs for upstairs for them to use. And when Barbara and I went in Sunday night, there were 3 tables upstairs. We left them a note saying, please bring the tables back downstairs and leave them in the entry. And they brought 2 tables down and took one to the theater.
And when we were there, at one time, we were cleaning downstairs and letting, was it Mark we were letting in or somebody? When we went downstairs, and of course we had the doors open, the director came and said, oh, can I have a few people go into the downstairs and use it for just a little bit? Well, we got caught there, so we said, yeah, you can for a little bit, so, but.
And then they were there the rest of the day.
So I really, really do need the rules and regulations, and I need to post them up on a bulletin board.
I think that, I understand not much about whose job is what.
Right.
But we're working with, they have a marketing person who's local,
Right.
they have a year-round person who, in that office. The artistic director lives in, I believe, Wolfboro or whatever. But, and I'm not familiar with, there's been a change in the board, but I would hope that one of us and the Friends, and maybe, Lou DeMayo or Scott Shapiro or people who are long-time experience could take responsibility for, doesn't have to do the work, but would take responsibility for seeing to it that the work
Well, that's
was
the
done.
stage manager's job, and Gail explained that.
Yeah.
So she said she was going right out to the, I can't think of his name, it's gone.
But that's not
But-
getting done, so I think that it would be best
Well,
if,
that was Wednesday I went, so they had it from the previous Monday or Saturday night into, this week, basically, but, it was so long time, and I know it's all new to me, and I don't think Dale was in it as busy as she is now, but, I talked with the stage manager. I talked with Bob Shea, I talked with Dale, so
And we talked with Lou DeMayo too.
they have my number.
You talked to Lou?
Yeah.
Told him what the situation
Well,
was?
we didn't tell him all of this afterwards, but he was one that we met at the office there.
I would think that it would be, only because I know he's on board of directors and I don't,
And-
so
and-
go past where.
Countless times, Barbara and I said to everybody, the floor is brand new.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
yeah.
did they tell you what they did on the floor?
Well,
She saw the play last night.
there's tap dancing, there's walkers that they carry around and stomp on the floor.
And there was
It's not a
27
stage.
actors there, so that was a big bundle. So I have talked it out with Dale, and hopefully it'll be better. So now my main thing now is to invoice her.
That floor already looks
And
like
I
it's a
need
couple
to give
years
it to
old.
Kathy
Right.
so that she
That's
can
right.
actually invoice her out like she did last year. 'Cause
Well,
I don't want control over
I
it.
can tell Kathy just how many days do I need to invoice.
But we
Yeah.
have a slip of
This is what
Kathy
Kathy
gave to us to use.
told us to do, and that's hers, but I want to make sure it's up to you guys.
Invoice them
Because
for the whole time
they
they're
don't
there.
really want to pay $50 a day. But
Oh, well,
I think
what?
we earned it with that building, so.
I think long-term, they really
I
are
think it
a
should be more than
nonprofit
$50 a day.
and local and stuff like that, so I think,
But it's not a stage, and a stage is treated a lot different
get me
than a
going.
polished floor.
so,
And we're
Right.
still paying for electricity, paper towel, water,
Oh my God.
sewer.
Well,
I
we
mean,
need
25 rolls of paper towel in a week.
You can't even go to the movies for $50.
So that's why we're writing this up. And I mean, down the road, yes, I understand it's a town building and stuff, but we've just dumped going to
Right.
dump $100,000 in that building, and the floors are already ruined.
Yeah, and I said to them, please be very, I asked them to do their stocking feet or their bare feet. That was that first day, that's what I
There's like
asked them to
scuff
do,
marks all
because it was
across
still
it.
curing.
I think the stage manager's doing stages, and I know Dale is booked up, and I know Diana is marketing. I would hope that a board member could provide who is gonna be responsible for overseeing
Yeah.
while they're there, and making sure that somebody's responsible for the cleanup, and somebody's responsible for equipment, et cetera. And
maybe I was lax of not going to
No,
Dale
not
at
at
this
all.
point in
One-
time, but
one
I
week-
wanna make sure you guys know what's
So,
happening.
is there a selectman that wants to meet with the barnstormers with us?
Well, I say bill them out. If they have a question with the bill, then they can come forward and one of us will deal with it. But bill them out. They've been billed out before. This isn't brand new to them.
Right, and I told her to count on 50 the last time I talked with her.
And I had that conversation in the spring when there was a discussion in
Nonprofit
April or
thing,
something
yeah.
with some of the folks. I think that would be great, but I also think that, all of the people that are available to us, it's not that, they've assigned something different, so if we could get a member of that board of directors who could follow through and get someone who would walk in at the end of the thing when the crew is walking out. It sounds like by July 30, we would have to do that before the next round, which is July
Yeah,
30.
because they have one of our tables over there.
Well, hopefully we'll have a users agreement by then, and that will calm all
Right.
that, because the nonprofit will
And
sign a
I-
Kept the
users
table?
agreement.
Well,
Yeah,
they
they
took
My
got
it.
the
They
play.
still
understanding
have it?
was, my understanding it's either coming today or tomorrow. It wasn't here today, so I'm hoping tomorrow, because I told her I needed it for our craft fair on Saturday.
I think it would be prudent to make sure that the board is gonna see that
Yeah.
the agreement is have a person
Right.
who will bear responsibility for that, more to the board than
Bill them for the table.
So you've got 6 days on you,
Rental?
you want 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's cold.
That
well,
dropped
maybe
off
that's
because
where
they
you
were
gotta whack 'em
supposed to
Won't
get
do
their
it
stuff
again.
out Saturday night. It was a rainy weekend, so we gave them the benefit of the doubt for Sunday to bring the stuff out because it was for raining, but like I said, a lot
So
of the
you
stuff
want
was
it
still
Monday
there.
to Saturday? That's 7 days.
We want the board to decide on when,
Yeah.
how long
Right.
you guys
What,
want them to
what
go.
time when did you say they went in there? They went in there
I was
On
still
the
there
on Sunday.
They went in
Saturday night
a week ago Saturday
to tape.
to tape and to move stuff in on
She
Sunday.
called
All right,
me
they went in
that
on
Sunday.
Saturday and they
the
went out
16th.
on
Yesterday.
yesterday.
Saturday the 16th.
For yesterday, which is the.
That's way more than 7 days.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
Bill
tell
them
you.
out.
Yesterday was the 27th.
Because nobody else could use the space, they were up there occupying it. I went out of a
The
meeting
only
on
time they
Monday
left
night.
early during the week was because we had the yoga for the veterans. And I said, you've gotta be out of there by 5:45.
Yeah, but they still used it all day.
But I went by
Yeah.
Monday night when we left the CIP meeting at 8:30 and the lights were all on in the upper second half of the townhouse. So either they walked out and left the lights on or they were using it.
They were
So
still using it,
Bill 'em.
probably a couple people were out
I'd say
there.
bill 'em for
Because
the
we've
whole
gone
day
in and
out.
we've heard them.
You get a
At
rental
night.
car, you only go 50 miles,
So
you still pay for.
6:16 to
I mean,
6:27.
it's,
Keep it a week, it doesn't.
It don't matter, you're
So
still
that's
paying.
11 days.
You could put 10,000 miles on it, you could put 4.
Well,
You're still
they can
getting
come
charged the
challenge
same.
it. Do we need a
they
motion?
want you to
Or
be
you just wanna
easy
bill 'em?
on them.
Bill them.
Just fill 'em.
Alrighty.
You know, if you want, that's why I thought a weekly fee could give them a little bit of a.
Well, that's what I'm
thing.
looking at, because some of them do a weekend fee, like 3
Yes.
days is
Yeah.
a certain amount, 4 days is a certain amount.
But there also should, I mean, the way it was used
Yeah.
hard.
Definitely 6 days, I think you gotta go with,
You
because
know, that
Monday
there's
through
gotta be
Saturday,
some-
they are all day.
some
So
sort of
definitely go with that.
restrictions about what's up there, cause look at the floor, I mean, it's trashed.
And Sunday they were in and out, so, and Monday and Tuesday, it looks like they were in and out because they were still, little by little, they were moving their crops over.
This is one other question I have. I was contacted by Priscilla Remick, and she wants to know why the Tamworth Congregational Church, after the building was opened, why wasn't the Congregational Church, given the code to get into the building?
Say that again?
Priscilla Remick contacted me because I had put a little thing on the exchange that the building was opened June 7th. You know, that it started back up, and she was concerned why the Tamworth Congregational Church was not given the code.
Not given the code. Do they still have that, I believe, Robert Shaw, yeah.
They don't have any Bibles, they don't have anything in
There
there.
was something that they used to do.
The Bible study they
Yeah,
did, but,
before,
or the
yeah.
prayer group or something.
And before they winterized that building,
Right.
the restroom and the townhouse was.
So I guess the question is, does the church get a key too, or do they go through Barbara when they want to use
I
it?
didn't know that everybody
Well,
had a code.
they have a AED now, which is up to snuff
In the church?
in the church. And they have a restroom. And those were the two reasons, I believe, that they had access to the,
So I can tell Priscilla that
Just to come
when
from me.
she wants
when they're ready to schedule
to
something.
have a party, they call
Schedule.
Barbara.
Sure.
Because Parker told us during budget season, they used it once in a while for a meeting, so I think it should go through to be
Right.
scheduled.
Like everybody else,
Yeah.
yep.
And they might want to regularly schedule that.
So we can keep track of the keys.
And if they need if they need it for something more, then they should submit a letter of what they're using it for.
Yeah. She did call me when she did the blood drive, but then we had to cancel that at the townhouse because we ended up closing the townhouse. So she did call me for that, but when Rich Colgan changed the lock and put just his thing on, I didn't feel it was my duty to tell her what the key was because it was a closed building. So I didn't give it out, so I think that's the way she's trying to get it because she thought she deserved it.
Well, I'll call her tomorrow and tell her to talk to
I
Barbara.
think if the chief has a key.
Yes, he should have
That's
for the,
emergency response. And
Right.
the rest of the stuff is the scheduled thing. I don't want a key. You don't want
well,
a
you
key.
can use the two keys that are here.
But probably, I mean, maybe to move voting booths out or something like that, but, and Kim would have one, and probably I would ask, go with Kim to pick up tables.
I'm planning on fixing the door upstairs so that it doesn't scratch on the floor, so sometime I might need to get in.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, Darlene has access to
Well,
that.
that's what you said, Darlene, and the
Darlene.
fire chief, and you.
So
and
I can come and go,
Kim.
hey, I need the key, I need to go
Oh,
fix
there's
the
4
door.
keys out.
Right,
You know.
4 keys out.
Well, we
Sounds
need-
good.
We don't have keys now, we don't have them yet, do we?
No, I
Oh.
just got them, so,
Okay.
and I wanted to find out how many to make, so,
Okay.
okay?
And have them stamped, do not duplicate.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Public comment. Cat, oh,
Okay. I'm with the Recreation Advisory Committee, and we've had 2 meetings so far. And our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, July 10th. We're gonna skip this next week because it's 4th of July and everything. And that will be at 6 p.m. at the townhouse. We've sent out requests, one to Darlene and one to Parker. The questions for Parker, I believe you guys got last Thursday. And we are looking into what other towns are doing with the rec departments. And we're looking into some questions to do a survey for the general town population. Some other things that we found by just looking into what is in town already. There is a summer camp called the Tiger Enrichment Camp. It's run through the school. It's for 1st to 6th graders. it's their second year running. They have 33 kids this year, and the parents don't pay for their kids to go. And there's busing and transportation to and from it if they need it. And they got that through one of the teachers wrote a grant, or applied for a grant, and they were awarded it. So it's free and it's really interesting. And that has no involvement with the rec department, so we're also looking into what people in town are doing that the rec department isn't involved with, which has been interesting. That's all for now. But we will have more in 2 weeks.
All the time sheets have been scanned, so I'll send those over to you tomorrow, and that should be all I have.
All right, thanks.
Public comment?
I sometimes feel like I wear a clerical collar to the point where I go look in the mirror, see if I have one on mine. But surprising, a lot of people make comments to me or ask me questions. And one of the things is that the advisory committee that went through the different departments last year prior to town meeting, they need to be commended what a great job they did. And the select board have agreed to have an advisory looking at the rec department. People have mentioned to me and asked me to pass on to you people if you would continue doing this advisory for the different departments, and they appear to be that they're looking to, hopefully the next one will be the fire department. And that's my request for the select board.
I think it's great to get other citizens involved in the issues and have them study them, because they can understand sometimes the complexity that we have to deal with, and they can bring things to us that we might not get the information on. So I think it's always good to have people studying stuff.
They appear to share with me that assigning me as a messenger.
And a good one you are.
Thank you.
Would it be just, I'm curious here because there are state limits about fire department, equipment, maintenance and response and attendance. Would it be, what would that?
I don't know what's been passed on to me with it. They appreciate this advisory committee that is looking at different departments, and they're asking if they could, the next department could be the fire department. Again, I'm the messenger. For some reason, the people they confide in me, for whatever the reason it is.
Well,
That's why I look for the
stuff
collar.
coming down the road, like whether you're gonna start your own ambulance service and,
Expensive issues there, say the least.
I would think that issue should be addressed to the fire wards, and the fire wards would establish a committee.
Isn't that kind of like Fox setting the hen house?
No, because if we establish a committee for the rec department, because we supervise the rec department, we don't supervise the fire department. The fire ward supervise. So it would be like you coming to us and saying, you as the Tamworth Board of Selectmen need to establish a committee to study the school. We don't have any authority. They're governed by the school board.
Even though it's town money.
Huh?
Even though it's town
Correct.
tax money.
So the fire wards govern the fire department. They're the ones that need to decide to get a advisory committee. So my recommendation would be is to go to one of their board meetings and say, listen, the selectmen have done advisory committees to see the police department, they're doing an advisory committee for the rec department. I think maybe you guys should start an advisory committee to study the fire department. That's just my humble opinion.
we, I think we hire any paid staff, and the selectmen appoint and supervise. No, the selectmen appoint or dismiss the wards or the forest wardens. and
They're voted, they're
They're
elected,
elected.
they're elected
The
positions.
fire wards are elected.
The wards are, but the wardens aren't. And I believe that
We appoint the
we
wardens.
appoint them at the chief's
Right.
suggestion, and
Right.
there's never, but that's pretty much our limit.
Well, who signs the contract to purchase the truck?
You're in
selectmen.
charge of the budget.
The selectmen.
You're in charge of the budget. Right.
Because we never turned them into a precinct. Had we turned them into a precinct, we would do them like we do the school, and here's your money, you deal with it how you need to deal with it, and they'd sign all their bills and contracts.
So it's sort of a double-edged sword.
So, you know, I can see it.
I think Dan's,
Be interesting to see
Because
the
it
response.
depends what they want, what they're looking for, that would, out of that committee.
Or if the town was looking to say, do we want to keep it under wards, or do you want to turn it into a precinct? If it was something like that, along that line, then the town could appoint something like that, but it depends on what they want.
an interesting thing, though. But I
See how it
think,
floats around for a while.
public comment. Cassie?
One last thing. Mom, Linda Cooks mentioned a couple of meetings ago that there were no flags on Bunker Hill, Hackett Hill, that those two cemeteries, there are still no flags.
Correct, but we did get information from the cemetery commissioner that right now there is no provision for those flags, except that there is a veterans committee that,
But there are flags on the ones,
correct, because the,
and there are flags on the ones along Lansing.
correct, and
We want the flags.
Chikarawa, and Ordination
Riverside.
Rock, and
Riverside.
Riverside. But I'm not sure why that's the case, but it is the case. So I believe that Dan's committee's looking into that.
We will.
First
I'm
order of
also
business.
looking for members.
The,
I had 4.
part of the comments
4
was that
out of this whole town of veterans?
That's as many as we had for the budget committee. $4
Yeah,
million
and-
budget,
and
so.
how many people are involved in that?
Not yet. We haven't brought it back up.
No, I meant,
Dave Haskell, Mark?
yeah, I think some of the comments were that the holders for the flags aren't there, so they don't know which ones are supposed to get them. I don't know, I haven't been through the cemetery, so I don't know. But
But
Point well
who
taken.
buys the flags?
trustees of the
Out
cemetery.
of the money that is appropriated in
Yep.
town meeting?
Yep.
So I guess I'm confused as when we change from, we're only gonna do major cemeteries, from not doing all. So we need to look at that too, to see if we're appropriating enough money for the flags, because we might not be. I wasn't aware that changed, that only major cemeteries were getting flagged and not the small ones, until we got our
So
our
we asked.
correspondence, right.
I think the commissioner says that the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts have traditionally done the Hackett Hill and,
Traditionally doesn't mean yearly, because it hasn't been done
right,
for a couple of years.
right. Sir?
Cameron and I are actually with Boy Scout Troop 151, so we've never done those two cemeteries, but, you know, we always take care of the other ones. We have some flags left over from this year, so if we can get holders, we can take care of that.
As I say, I don't know, there may be holders there that didn't get filled, but I think there was some holders missing or something, so. Any holder could
The commissioner's letter said all the holders, or most of the holders were missing.
Yeah, so.
Once again, I'm gonna go back. We have cemetery trustees who are elected officials.
Yes.
Who have boards. I, for the life of me, don't understand why we as selectmen want to get involved in every single committee who's an elected official. So the question should be addressed, to the trustees of the cemetery?
It has. It was addressed last year.
Okay.
And then 2 years ago. And my uncle lost business over it because my mom threw such a fit about it.
Mhm.
And every year it changes, but if it changed 1 year and we were like, oh yeah, we'll call again, nothing gets done. So if we call them and they don't respond, what is our next course of action?
Come here and have us do it. If it's not getting done sooner or later, it's
Just
gonna be
about.
our responsibility.
So what do? We call in the chairman of the,
Or we can,
Well, we emailed him, he told us what his answer was, that they hadn't been doing those, and people are concerned because all the cemeteries in town used to be done, well, regardless if it was the little one or the big one, so something's changed in the
so
last
do we
couple
take it
years.
upon ourselves to just step over them and then we'll do their job for them?
No, because one of the other things was, is they don't know who all the veterans are in the town, and it's not their responsibility, so they're sort of saying, with the veterans group, maybe we can find out who all the veterans are and take care of it. So, that's, it's around sort of
Kind of a
circle.
work in progress right now, but if there's extra flags, then maybe you can go do what, the ones that are marked.
We could. He's been in scouts for 10 years now. We've never done those two cemeteries.
So I wonder who used
Way
to
too
do
long.
them.
Yeah.
TJ Eldridge, he used to mow both of the cemeteries and he would put them out.
Right.
And that's what happened before the scouts started doing it, is whoever was mowing
Whoever
the
was mowing the
cemeteries.
cemeteries
Yeah.
put out all the
they
flags.
Put flags up. So they went, that doesn't happen.
Unfortunately, it didn't get picked up.
who made, are those, there are no maintenance contracts for those two?
Oh, yeah.
I don't see anybody up there.
They
They're-
were, gotta go back to the minutes, they were included, but they're not cut as frequently, I
No,
think they're
twice a
cut
year or
twice a year.
something.
I mean, they're shaded, they're not gonna, there's
Right.
moss mostly, there's no
Right.
grass.
Well, part of the maintenance
The one on the lower, there's one up by the Honeywells, and then there was one where the Lindsays used to live. That one, there was a tree branch down for half a year last year that no one picked up until like the fall maybe.
But they did split up the smaller ones and the two people that they've got contracted in the town.
But in support of Catherine's comment about she's talked to the cemetery committee and they haven't done it, I mean, it behooves you guys that you need, she's come to you, I think it's your job, if they're not doing theirs, to reprimand them or do something, cut their budget or do something. I mean, it just can't end, because, you know, okay,
Try and fix the problem, that's what we
Right,
need to do.
that's what we're
Well,
doing,
I
and
mean,
call.
They're elected officials.
I understand that, but if they're not doing their job, what do you,
Why do we
what's
have
her
a
answer?
cemetery committee if they don't treat every cemetery equally?
Or have a policy that says this is how we do it, and then if you don't like that, you can change your cemetery
Policy's the big
trustees and
word,
have
but-
somebody create another
My mom
policy.
went to Pennsylvania tonight and she was like, before I go, tell the selectmen there are still no
Boy.
flags. Okay.
You almost missed out on that. Boy, that was close.
She was saved.
Thank you.
Public comment. David?
So I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago, there was a discussion about highways to summer cottages, and there was some confusion, and it might have been my confusion, but I think you guys seem to not be following the RSA's in terms of how highways to summer cottages get designated. It's not something that the select board can do. Well, you can do it as part of a process of laying out a road, but that's pretty complicated. You eventually have to go to town meeting one way or the other, so I would urge you, if you're gonna do that, do it correctly, that's all I'm saying.
We're not doing it. We passed on it.
No, but the discussion came up as if you could, that was my point.
Because down at New Hampshire Municipal Association, when we attended our meeting, they said that the selectmen had the right to designate a seasonal highway. When you read the RSA, that is not what it says.
The
It
selectmen have
does-
the right to lay out a highway, and changing its designation can be part of the layout process, but it's not as simple as just saying
Correct.
the selectmen have, I was just reacting to that.
And that's, I think, where we were coming from, is from what we learned at that meeting, but
It might have been my confusion.
we're not doing it.
I mean, I don't disagree that something should be done to prevent inappropriate, unnecessary damage to the roads, but anyway, thank you.
we did Farnstomers. The RFP for snow plowing. Is there any problems with that? It'll go
I
out?
don't know, if people can look at it, we can discuss it at our work session, I didn't figure it'd be
Is
voted on
anybody ready
tonight.
to discuss it tonight?
Got a
No?
little bit.
Huh?
I just figured people could read it over and we could discuss it at our next work session.
Okay.
All
I
right.
don't think it's gonna snow tomorrow.
Not, well, could be, I
The
don't know.
fund balance,
It's kind of a work session, thing, isn't it?
policy is for discussion with, the auditors. So,
I don't think we did one next week.
signature.
Could you let us know when you set that up?
Oh, absolutely.
With them?
Yeah.
Because I would like to try and attend if I'm available.
Okay.
Minutes of non-public session on June 21st, 2018.
I gotta go.
So long, Dan. These are sealed. We're sealed. 1, 2, 3, 4 to 0.
All those in favor?
Yeah. Motion to approve.
Seconded?
Oh,
Oh, scared you, didn't I?
discussion. All those in favor? Aye.
Dan signed it and he wasn't here.
No, he didn't sign. Oh, he signed it.
Then he must have whited it out.
Yeah, he wasn't at that meeting, so he whited it out.
Yeah.
You vote? You vote?
Yes, aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Passed. Selectmen's non-public at, on June 21st, 2018. And Selectmen's work session at 5:30 PM on June 21st, 2018. Are they both here? Are they both included?
What do you mean both?
Well, we've got a non-public at 5 and a,
That was the one.
oh,
you
that
just
one.
did.
did it.
Okay, this is the minutes of
That's
the work
regular
session.
Work session.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, the selectmen's meeting for June 14th.
There it is.
Wait on her vote.
I'm waiting for Becky.
Okay.
Oh, I'm all set.
Aye?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Motion passes. Selectmen's meeting on Thursday, June 14th, 2018. Motion to approve.
Second?
All those, oh, sorry.
All in favor?
Not yet.
Go ahead. I read them already.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I vote yes, too. What have I got?
Payroll
Payroll
manifest.
authorization dated
July 5th.
7/5/18 for $29,956.93. Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Accounts payable register.
Accounts payable register dated June 27th, 18, no.
Yes.
For the period of June 2018 for $1,855. Motion to approve.
So that's the manifest and the check register.
Oh, yeah, okay. And the payment
Right.
manifest in
That was the-
in the sum of $1,855.
Second?
Right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Got the same thing here. Check register and the manifest.
Check register and accounts payable manifest in the sum of $368,510.85. Motion to approve.
Second? we do look at these, just so you know, before the meeting.
Yeah.
But we usually look at them when we don't start early. This starting early is killing us.
Those two that we had in question, are they still on hold for this? The one with the cemetery and the one with the reimbursement?
They're not going out till the 5th of next month, I mean, July 5th. So yeah, they're on
Okay.
hold.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. We have an administrative abatement, map 203, lot 69, and 203, 69, double lot 2, $2,324. Motion to approve.
Second?
Pick a line, any line. Becky?
Yes.
No, just, they'll ask you to sign. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. An administrative abatement for map 415, lot 031-double lot 2, in the sum of $1,796. Motion to approve.
Second?
Is this what we were gonna have, one signature on it? We don't know.
Not that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. An intent to cut, map 413, lot 7.1, the access road is Cleveland Hill Road. Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor? Oh,
Aye.
no, wait, we need one more signature.
Yeah, aye.
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 Motion passes.
What is today? Today is 7/28,
628.
6/28.
Yep.
Put the right month even.
We have a report to the DRA concerning the inventory of taxable property form for 2019, which is,
PA 28, is it?
Yeah.
PA 28.
That we're not doing.
that we're not doing. Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Appointment for Mary Cronin for the Veterans Committee.
Oh, great. Should be great.
Did Dan know about that before he left?
He's the one that told me to do it when he got here.
Thank you. An appointment of, to the Veterans Committee for Mary Cronin. Motion to approve.
Second.
It's just confusing.
Something.
All, can we vote on it?
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
If the signature isn't there, I figure you might want to see it. But all those in
No,
favor?
let's just do it quick.
I already did it, we already passed it.
Okay.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
That's
passes.
the Avatar contract.
The Avatar
I think
contract,
Billy
which
might
you-
have some questions on that.
Oh,
You
okay.
have them, we can,
Are we in
I can
a
ask.
rush to get that in? Or is that something we could look a little more deeply
You
into?
can wait on it.
I think it said like 120 days, that price will still be there somewhere on there.
I'd really like to have
It's fine
a
with
bigger
me.
discussion
fine.
on it.
At
That's
the-
the-
at-
we're
Let's
gonna
hang
have
on to it.
tonight.
What's next, a work session or a?
Meeting on the 12th,
Well,
Okay.
And then we have a work session on the
on the
17th.
17th.
Yeah.
Oh, the 17th.
We'll
Better
do it
tell
at-
Dan.
wait,
I'm
Could we
going
do
that
it,
day.
could we do, you know, grab a hard
Work
copy and
session's pretty,
do it?
I emailed
Yeah, that's
everybody
emailed
this.
Yeah,
everybody,
right.
so we can.
Yeah.
And that was the last, it was not the most recent archive, it was the one before that.
No, this contract I just emailed you in your packet for
Right.
this meeting.
Right.
Maybe I got it.
I
If
hope
you have it,
so.
you
But not
Squirrel got
additionally,
it.
it came with all the other.
Came with
Scroll
all
down.
the other, I believe.
Yeah,
I
that's-
thought
Yeah,
I
it was
thought I read
on
it.
mine.
Oh, I'd read it in
Yeah,
here.
okay.
Darlene, would you contact Dan and let him know when the work session was? Because I told him it was the 19th and it's the 17th.
Okay.
Sorry about
well,
that.
you'll see him at the meeting before the work session.
Maybe or maybe not.
Oh, yeah.
As you've seen, Darlene wrote to the New Hampshire DOT, I believe, District 3 for the flagpole in South Tamworth.
Yep.
Appreciate David's research into that as to who owns the land and the
Really needs to sign
prudent
that.
thing to do.
Did I send that one? No, oh, I didn't. Did you find out who owns it?
No,
we're gonna
but we're
ask
just
them
gonna,
anyway.
no, I don't think we're gonna ask them. I think we're just gonna get approval for the flagpole, which sounded like it was gonna happen. Promised Ed there would not be a 5.5-hour meeting, so.
So you're looking for things to talk about?
Updates.
Wasn't there one more in there
What?
to be signed
Inventory.
about the lawsuit, the civil? Or is that just an
Yeah.
FYI? The class action suit, was that just an FYI in our packets?
That was an
or-
FYI, I didn't know if it was real or not.
Actually, it is
or-
real. I
Is it?
went out and researched it
Oh,
on
good.
the web. My problem is it's federal land, so I don't know what federal land we have in Tamworth is paying pilot. Do
We get a federal check
We get we get one pilot.
from the feds?
I don't know if it's from the state or the feds. So I didn't
But
do any homework on that.
I did. It's on
So-
federal land that can be
Right.
charged by the feds. I looked up that case, but there is also 4 other states that have collected from it, like $120,000 to $200,000. One was Utah, one was Tennessee, but it's only on federal land. So that's what confused me.
Now, Mexico, there's a section of the White Mountain National Forest in that keyhole, top hat, whatever you call that piece of Tamworth that pops up. And they did used to pay the town, I think, aid to school from federal money for the amount of federal land in town, which is not a lot, but there is some. I'm not familiar with the civil suit, so I have no,
So that's
No
what
idea
it
whether it
was,
applies or
very
not.
clearly that federal land that they received pilots on, they underpaid their pilots and they're suing to get their correct amount for 15, 16, and 17.
So if we got $1.25, it'd be worth signing the paper?
Well, if we've got federal land, that's the whole
Well, that
question.
little-
Is any of the wilderness designated, the new wilderness designated stuff in Wanalancet, town property? Do we own anything?
Wilderness has to be nationally owned property, so no, there's no. To my understanding, the only federal land in town is that part of the White Mountain National Forest, which is not the wilderness area. But it is the White Mountain National Forest, and there used to be a program where they compensated the town based on the dollar amount, or based on the acreage in the town, and I have no idea whether that.
We get a pilot of we get about $1,800 a year. But I didn't know if it was state or federal. I know.
We got a ton of state forest land here.
Yeah, but this is only, this
federal,
class
right.
action suit is only federal.
So we'll just
So-
do some homework and I'll have that for the
If
next
we've got any
meeting.
federal land, it might be worth signing.
Yeah,
If we
don't have
don't,
to do it
then
until September, so.
that's, yeah, it's got, but I did look that up because I thought that was weird too, where you put that on there, and there is quite a bit on different states that did it. And one Indian reservation managed to get back 300,000 because they weren't
I don't
paid
know that
correctly.
we have enough to
Right.
get that much back, but
Well, they
some
were
better
Every
than
dollar
none.
helps.
That's right.
Updates?
I went to the CIP meeting. It was a good talk. We actually have numbers have been inputted to give us the sticker value effect to date. One thing that was brought up is the townhouse needs to go into town offices now because it used to be under Park and Recs and it isn't anymore. It's back into the selectmen's spending things, so anything that we think needs further in the next couple of 3-5 years for the townhouse, like painting the house or whatever, needs to be put in as well. And they are looking at the July 19th deadline, so we will have to get it addressed on the 17th.
Down to the wire. Thank you.
Jeez. Yeah, and besides my $1 million on that worksheet, I would think that there's some avatar money that we have, that some assessing.
Yeah.
Right.
that-
And they're bumping some stuff up that the budget committee questioned and pushed to have people put in their budget this year that didn't get in their budget this year, and now they all want it next year, and next year's looking hard, so they're pushing some more out, but that brings up the budget committee, because I really would like to see the budget committee continue in this town. And if they start now, they won't have to bother Darlene as much as starting in October, because they would have the expenses going right along and could see stuff. So if we could put out on for our budget committee again this year to see if we could get maybe a few more members, but
Would be good.
Further updates, Aaron?
Just went to the Lakes Region Annual Dinner, as Pat said, and that's about all I got.
Dinner sounds like a good idea.
It was a good dinner.
Will?
I went to the dinner as well, and I would like to say that I thought George Bald's comments were pretty good.
They were good.
George, what was his other?
George Bald,
Bald.
who was the commissioner of DRED, which no longer exists. He did Pease International Trade Port, and he's presently working on the Laconia School rehab deal. But his comment, which I will share and give him credit for, was it's about relationships first. Everything else is second. Which I thought was an interesting spiel.
I tag along with Willie and Dan to the first Tamworth Yacht Club. Can I
How
tell
was
you?
that?
That was
Right.
great. It was
Right.
great. It was
Were you
great.
in the water?
It was better than sliced bread. It was great. All bunch of kids smiling, having a good time. We're going through the water, drawing on the boat. It was well-run, attention to safety. Every kid got something. The master of ceremonies here went and shook down everybody's town so that every
I
kid,
didn't shake anybody down. That was somebody else's job.
it's clearly a lie. And
Clearly a lie.
and it was really a good deal, and they're gonna, I hope they do it forever. It's just, you know,
I think it's in the plans for next year.
and it's a, you know, the admiral, who taught us a couple, 3 years ago that tradition is good for community, and community building and community is good for all of us, and that's a prime example of the stuff that anybody can get involved in, even if you don't want to participate, just going there and watching it and having a good time. Drainage, master plan, that's at the work session to chip away at more of that. The drainage at the townhouse, they've already,
Some of it's happening and
right,
Right.
more to come.
and more to
Come
come.
up with some more estimates.
Public comment, part two? Sir?
I'm just interested in the master plan aspect. I was involved in Denmark with comprehensive plan, which is Maine's version. So I'm just curious as to what, I know the last update was 10 years ago. So what's,
Becky pointed out that there's a number of things in the master plan that charge the selectmen to provide certain things or do certain things. Or at least picks out what we're responsible for and what others are responsible for. And so we've gone through that to see what has been done, what hasn't been done, what has been, and to decide whether it's feasible to do some stuff, or given the history since 2008, whether that would be a good idea or a bad idea, but at least to review our responsibility and go through it.
I'm not contemplating another update anytime soon.
That's a planning board function, that they will, the planning board will decide when to update and form a committee that will report to them.
Thank you.
Certainly.
And that is on the website. I believe you can find the document on the website.
The
Right.
master plan.
Yeah.
Yes, and the CD's available at both libraries, I believe. As a matter of fact, is that where the printed copies went, to the libraries? I'm sure there's one downstairs at Cook. David,
Okay, thank you.
is that where the printed copies went?
I'm pretty sure both libraries got one.
So,
But there were minimal number printed because of the cost of printing.
sure, and the electronic thing, you know, you get one of the pictures, you put it in, it's really great to get that on your screen. Pat?
Yeah, well, to update what the planning board said about the master plan, I mentioned to you before, I think, that they were gonna be asking the different departments to please come up, not only you, but the other departments too, to come up with what to at least look at their master plan in this section about them, what was expected of them in the first place, and what have they done so far, and we'll be pursuing that further. And my other public comment is in lieu, in keeping with what your master plan said, regarding selectmen are required to provide broadband to their town. My other roundabout that we had no time for is when might you want that meeting about broadband? You know that one? We just didn't have time because the guys were. What do you think about that?
Better keep beating the horse, maybe it'll
Well, you
get
do.
up.
I mean, that's my point. And it is, I feel there's probably several directions to go. There were other directions I was gonna be going, and this kind of interceded before I knew it was going to. And the offer was there, and I just sort of feel that we should take advantage and feel grateful that we're gonna have someone to help. I know there's gonna be surveys involved, information that we need to gather, all of that. She mentioned that's different things that gonna need to do. But I just think that you should maybe think about when would be the time? Would it be a separate day? Would it be a selectman day or what? And to just let the other people that you feel should be there know when it is, and then let her know, when I told her I'd let her know tomorrow. I mean, she talked to me today, I said, I'm going to a meeting tonight, I'll let you know tomorrow. Which is, well, this is called beating the horse, you know?
Right, yeah, might get up. The thing is, if we don't, I mean, it's not an emergency, obviously,
I would suggest
but,
August.
well, yeah.
I mean,
End of
it's
July,
summer,
August. And then maybe we can figure out who all the parties ought to be at that, so that
Yeah.
we're not,
Because it's gonna be some work. It's gonna definitely be some work to, like she said, like, for instance, I said Main Street and some very populated areas have broadband. However, if there's so much less density out in other parts of Tamworth that we are hurting for any or not as much, and we're very fortunate with Tam Wireless. But even that, it's getting, the need for stronger than that even is apparent all over New Hampshire, you know, higher.
Anybody's got Spectrum cable?
Okay. Now that you all, do you not have internet ability?
We have 25 minutes.
No, I'm just talking at all. You have internet at all, right? Do you have internet?
If you have access to Spectrum cable through your cable TV, you have access to broadband internet.
That is broadband for you. We don't. We don't have internet, except Tim Wireless we can get. But I'm just saying that it would be lovely to be able to help Tim Wireless be stronger for more people, but I'm not sure how long that can happen. So we're just trying to set the, you're okay, Steve.
There's
honest.
25 meg of,
No.
no, there isn't.
It's 50 MPM, millibytes
It's
per
50?
second. It's 50, depending what you're paying for. And if I want to pay some more, I can pay and get 100.
What does 50 cost you? That's the basic?
50, well, the basic, there's slow speed is 25, and I think
I
it's
believe.
$39 a month, and then it goes 49, and then it goes 79 if you want
I wish I could
speed.
get 25 for 30
Yeah,
bucks.
I was gonna say, I get high
Did
speed
you know that?
cable, and mine's like
Did you know
$160
that?
a month.
I knew that
that's
there was different degrees of
cable and-
different
Right,
levels that you can
I
pay
think
for.
it's 79
I'm
helps
just
against the
saying,
high speed internet.
We don't even have that conversation in most of Tamworth, because it's not there. And the businesses that want to be in Tamworth can't be, who would like to be able to have internet as their basis of operation. Businesses that did have internet services that they realized they couldn't continue, they moved away. A call came to me about, can I help Tamworth be better?
Is the solution, is the most feasible solution 100% service of.
That would be lovely. I don't know. if it's gonna be
That
possible.
horse is long gone.
I mean, you can't, in other words, right.
Can't ride him.
Right, in other words, in talking to her, I said, can we like maybe get, senators, the governor, our House people, all together with the providers and with the people who want it and the towns and everybody that might have knowledge to be able to come up with. Well, the government's keeping out of it because it's really much more of a monopoly and which it is. There aren't a lot of.
Pat, if everybody in town had cable capability,
That'd be wonderful.
We wouldn't be talking.
that's
We
all
had
you
this
need.
conversation.
I mean, we have to negotiate a contract with a cable company.
But we've already been told that your one source, the lawyer, I heard you, I was here, the lawyer said if she's really lucky, she might get you from 25 person density a mile, maybe to 20 or even 15. That doesn't help a lot of people. It helps a few people, but it doesn't help a lot of people that have a lot fewer properties in a mile.
So our bottom line,
That's not gonna happen. Unless they agree, let's just not worry about profit at all. If they just sort of said, we're not worried about profit, you can have anything. The one thing she did ask me is, and I knew you did, but I didn't know how much or anything, have you all gotten a franchise or some kind of a payment, I don't know the name of it, a franchise fee in the past? And I said, and I know they did, I said, except the contract is up, and I don't know, and they haven't signed it yet, and I mentioned about the lawyer, and she said, and I said, so I don't know if the contract is up where they're still getting that fee. She said, oh yes, they keep going with what it was until they sign. And she said, furthermore, they're not gonna shut you off because they don't really want that kind of publicity of the outcry that you'd have by the people that are presently on.
Can we look at our September 23rd meeting?
That's
August 23rd, I'm sorry.
That's,
It's a regular meeting, and if we schedule it now, we could at least get people here and just dedicate that meeting to that.
how much room do we have before we gotta do something with the contract?
I can keep on putting her off, which is what I did
Well,
already.
like Pat said, they're not gonna shut us
They're
down
not gonna
because
shut
that would
us
be
down, but
prime headline everywhere.
But there's a drop dead date
I-
when they can, when they can
Claim
say,
that their contract
"You
is
bet."
their contract,
Right, and that
whether you
has-
sign it or
that's
not, it's what it is.
too long a term and insufficient things, so
But I don't
maybe,
think we can do it between now and then. We've already got a work session scheduled, 2 meetings. I won't be, I mean, you can hold it the 9th, which is your next selectmen's meeting, but I won't be here. I'll be away.
what's the first week, the 2 weeks before that date in August?
That is our July 26th, but we're already holding a work session on the 17th because we're
No, in
so,
August.
2 weeks below that, that's the last Thursday of the month.
The 23rd?
Yes,
But what's the one before
the
that?
9th.
how about at a work session?
And that's what you said you weren't gonna be there?
Right, well, we've
Oh,
got
you
the
wanna do that.
16th,
we were doing work sessions between every meeting.
Right.
So,
the next one is August 2nd.
nothing in July?
What's middle August?
We've already scheduled a work session for the 17th, and our next meeting's the 16th, and then you're at the end of the month
And then the
already.
16th, and then after that is the July 23rd, you're gonna do a work session
17th,
then?
the 26th. No, we're doing the work session here, we have a meeting here. So that brings us up to August 2nd. Which I didn't figure anybody wanted to do anything, because we're having the street fair August 4th, so people
I
are gonna
know,
be
I
tied
said-
up already.
Now.
That's why I went with the
But what's
23rd.
what's the next thing, that you meet after August 2nd?
August 9th is a selectmen's
Becky
meeting.
won't be here.
That's fine, you can hold it, I have no problem with that, because I read and I
16th?
watch the video. And then it's the
After 9th,
16th.
it's the 16th.
I got a problem, I think I have a problem with the 16th.
Oh, that's why I
So
said,
then the
we may not
23rd.
get it, and then it's the 23rd, it's another selectmen's meeting, that's why I was.
Just write them and say we're contemplating which lawyer to pick.
Tuesday is
The-
16th, the 17th is a Thursday, the 16th
Does
is
it have to be a
Thursday.
Thursday?
No.
Saturday?
No.
No, I'm thinking.
Trouble is, I forget when we're meeting if we're moving around. too
Right,
much.
so that's why I was picking the
Sticking
Thursday.
with Thursdays work pretty good.
August.
Well,
No.
Geez, middle of August.
A Monday, the middle of
No, I
August?
said, I won't be here on a Monday.
Cause he's gonna jump. That's what I said. The 23rd seems, it's a selectmen's meeting no matter what.
John Roberts once asked me if I still lived in Tamworth, and I was, you know, we were trying to schedule stuff. He had a point, but, you know, we gotta
Well, and
do
that's what I say, you can either hold it the 9th, the 16th, or the 23rd,
16th, I'm out.
and you're off.
August 16th?
How about the 23rd?
16th,
I'll
17th,
say the
and
23rd. I'll
Yeah,
say
that's
the
what I said,
23rd.
the
Let's get her
23rd,
done.
because,
August 23rd.
And is that a selectmen's meeting?
correct.
The same normal time.
And that'll,
Is that comfortable with you?
In the interim,
hopefully,
we can figure who's gonna be there and all that sort of
Right.
thing.
Because if we book it that far ahead, then hopefully we can keep the agenda down to signature file in this meeting.
be nice.
What is it, 23rd?
23rd.
And I'll get back to Darlene if she said that she couldn't do
Right.
it. And it was a second option.
What are our other
In
options?
September. In September.
I would go the next meeting in September.
I think Ed's dreaming about supper, and so are we all.
Motion to adjourn.
I'm sorry?
Second.
Oh, good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming, folks, appreciate it.
Nice seeing you.